BBC Three Counties Radio, first for news.
I love the way, Catherine, halfway through that you thought, I'm better than this. And I hate to break it to you, you're not. None of us are. Morning, this is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. None of us are better than talking about Nadine Dorries eating a camel's toe. Yes, yes. Did you see her on I'm a Celebrity last night? Mid-Beds MP Nadine Dorries eating a camel's toe. I didn't see it. I was asleep. I was in bed by 8 o'clock last night. I know! But our political correspondent Paul Scoynes did. And if we can wake him up, then the sad bear will be on the radio to tell us all about it. Also, young people apply for 17 jobs before they even get an interview. How difficult has it been for your son or daughter or your grandchildren to get a job? And former Luton South MP Margaret Moran did fiddle her expenses. We can say that she did. She's guilty. We speak to the campaign group who say that justice hasn't been done. And you know what? I kind of came in feeling a bit grumpy. Some of the team were a bit grumpy. There were some grumpy emails. This Moran story's got me grumpy. The story we're going to do later on about the junk mail has got me grumpy. We're going to have a grumpy Wednesday. If you're feeling grumpy, let's not try and fight it off. No, let's embrace the grumpiness. If you just want to phone up and have a whinge, then you're more than welcome to. This morning, you can come on and just have a whinge about anything. The Wednesday whinge. 08459 455 555. It can be that you've run out of milk. It can be the state of the country. Anything you want. I don't care. Let's just embrace it and grumpiness today. You can go to the Facebook page, facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can text 81333, starting your text 3CR, or you can give us a call, 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
By the way, if you go to the Facebook page, there is an exclusive behind-the-scenes documentary with a very small d of this show. You can go to facebook.com/BBC3CR and you get to meet the team. Wow. And see what happens in putting together your breakfast show. Now, the Taxpayers Alliance say they feel like justice hasn't been done after former Luton South MP Margaret Moran was found to have fiddled her expenses to the tune of £53,000. According to the House of Commons, in 2009, she repaid £6,000 in relation to claims on her second home in Southampton. Excuse me, and £65 back for office cleaning. Wow, a whole £65. Following the ruling yesterday, the Crown Prosecution Service say they will look to see if any action might be taken in the recovery of the rest of the funds. She can't be sent to jail like other MPs who've been convicted of fraudulently claiming expenses, as she wasn't mentally fit enough to stand trial. The question now is, will she pay any of it back? This is what people in her former constituency think.
I think that she should pay all the money back, that if she has actually made it fraudulent, and regardless, she should recompense the council for her actions. And it's not doing the town any good. The morale in the town of the people is really bad.
You think even now her legacy still sort of lives on?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Luton hasn't got a very good reputation as it is. And she's just dragged us down even further again now.
Well, I needed her help, and she didn't even have the courtesy to return my call.
So you think she should pay the money back?
Yes, I do.
Do you think she's brought the town into disgrace?
Well, she's brought herself into disgrace.
I do seriously feel that Margaret Moran should pay back the money which she misappropriated from public funds. I think it's totally disgraceful. The same law should apply to everybody. If you take funds that are not legally yours, you should repay them if you're found to have actually carried out that crime. It's a crime as far as I'm concerned.
And after all, she does have the money.
And after all, she definitely must have the money, yes.
Definitely. As far as I'm concerned, she's stolen it. She's got to pay back. I think she should be prosecuted for it. It's theft.
So reporter Tony Fisher there speaking to the people of Luton. Well, we can find out what the Taxpayers Alliance makes of the story. Jonathan Isaby is from the Alliance. He joins me now. Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning, Ian.
As a campaign group, you believe tax is wasted by the government. When you hear about MPs' expenses, and how does that make you feel?
Well, we don't think every bit of tax is wasted by the government. We certainly think that they take too much of our tax, and that which they do take, they should spend more sensibly. But yeah, no, what you have here is a situation where, justice does not feel to have been done. And clearly from the people you spoke to on the streets of Luton yesterday, they all agree that, this is money which was taken fraudulently. The jury found that she did fiddle her expenses to the tune of more than £50,000. It's a huge amount of money. And I think every step should be taken to try and recover that money from her. I gather the Crown Prosecution Service are looking into whether there's some means by which they can do it. One wonders whether, in extremis, there might be a case for, some kind of private civil action against her to recover it, because the facts are clear. On numerous counts, she forged invoices for non-existent goods and services. She was claiming for a landline telephone at a flat which didn't have a telephone at all. She was, creating fake bills for addresses that didn't exist. I mean, it's absolutely outrageous.
I was reading through it this morning, and you're right. So it's not just, hey, she claimed for, a satellite dish. These are big things. These are forged documents from building companies, aren't they, for work that didn't happen?
Yeah, forging documents in order to claim money from taxpayers. It's an utter abuse, and it's actually, I think, in terms of the amount of money, it's the worst abuse of any of the cases that came up as a result of that MP's expenses scandal.
The thing that's confused me, Jonathan, is we knew from quite early on that she couldn't be sent to prison, and yet it still cost about £80,000 to get this case through court. Is that money well spent?
Well, I think if there had not been due process, we would not have been in a position this morning to be able to say, yes, for sure, she did fiddle the expenses, and we know that the wrong was done, and that it's not simply an allegation; it is a statement of fact that happened. We do have a system of justice in this country which does cost money, and there are certainly a lot of ways in which it probably ought to be reduced, the amount that the cost of these things happen. But I think it was right that happened. I think I'm very sorry that she's not very well and that she was not able to stand trial. Obviously the judge made the decision that she was not physically able to stand trial. In the last few weeks for this. But, it just creates such a massive sense of frustration for taxpayers, particularly those people in Luton who were her constituents, who feel that she has absolutely let them down and taken advantage and abused the system.
Jonathan, thank you very much. Jonathan Isaby from the Taxpayers Alliance. It's I've got a friend of mine who has been to prison for various offences, and he was furious at this because he says he's known grown men who have attempted suicide, who have literally pulled their hair out of anxiety of going to court and the possibility of going to prison. I mean, listen, she's been said that she's not well enough and stuff. It will be interesting to know exactly how unwell she is, isn't she? It does seem like, she's been found guilty, but there's not any justice. Well, later on, we'll be speaking to a criminal lawyer who's dealt with clients who've been deemed unfit to plead to shed more on this story. Speak to you after this. The Equals, baby, come back. This is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. 08459 455 555. We're having a Wednesday whinge off. If you want to have a whinge about anything, you're more than welcome to. I can't stress how important it is sometimes just to have a bit of a whinge. I am quite a grumpy middle-aged man. I can't wait till I'm old because I'm going to be so miserable and so grumpy. But embrace your inner grumpy old man or grumpy old woman this morning. Give us a call and have a whinge about anything. I'm annoyed. We're going to talk about junk mail later on, and that's got me grumpy. The Moran story's got me grumpy. Lots of things. The fact that the council won't come on and talk about that fire off the M1, that's got me grumpy. I'm grumpy about a lot of things. Come and join me. 08459 455 555. Exploit the BBC and be grumpy on it, for goodness sakes. Hey, this is exciting. Not only is it Jonathan Vernon Smith's birthday today, and boy, have I got him some good presents. Oh! I exaggerated slightly when I said they were both from the pound shop. One was from the pound shop. The other one cost me £6.99. So I spent a total of, get this, kids, £7.99. I've only known him 3 months. That's more than I spent on my mum's birthday. Honestly, it is. He'll be getting those later on. But he won't be coming into the studio to get them. I tell you for why. Because he's out and about. How are you feeling about not being represented in Parliament at the moment if you live in mid-beds with Nadine Dorries in the Australian jungle? Well, Jonathan Vernon-Smith is going to hold his very own unique surgery replacing the Dean surgery. Join JVS on the High Street in Sheffield this Wednesday morning from 9 o'clock by the War Memorial, just down the road from the Dean's office. And you can have a chat with him. Now, listen, we can't, of course, guarantee that he can solve anything. But if anybody, he'll have a darn good crack at it. If you want to get in touch, you can email us now. If you send an email to jvsshow@bbc.co.uk with any problems that you think that normally your MP would solve, but she can't because she's in the jungle eating ostriches' anuses. Yes, that's what she was doing last night. Then send an email. jvsshow@bbc.co.uk and maybe this morning, he might attempt to solve your problem. Now, if your son or daughter is struggling to get an interview, let alone a job, then they are far from alone. According to a study out today, most of them are applying for 17 positions before being offered an interview. I bet it's even more than that, to be honest. Employment statistics show that many job seekers blame the schooling system, while half admit they could do more personally to get a job. Margaret Basquill-Byrne is the Managing Director at Red Recruitment Limited in Luton. Morning, Margaret.
Good morning.
Why do you think it takes so long for young people to even get an interview, let alone find a job?
I just think the whole process system of recruiting at the moment has, they have to apply on websites, they have to answer loads of scenario questions, and I think it does put youngsters off. It's just like a barrier. I don't think they're prepared either.
It puts them off?
Yeah.
What, having to answer questions?
Well, the questions are quite difficult.
Really?
Have no work experience, and they're supposed to explain scenarios with customers in shops, how they would deal in situations.
But that's just
16, 17-year-olds.
But they've been in shops. They know good and bad customer service, don't they? And that will show initiative if they can answer that.
Yeah, it would, but some of these questions go on for 35, 40 questions, then they wait weeks for response, and then they get bog standard response back. It's just one of these areas that if they're having to keep doing that, that's demoralising. They're not getting the response, they're not even getting a chance for an interview. But also I think we could do a lot more in our schools and colleges to prepare them with CVs, how to actually attend an interview if they do get an interview.
I was going to say, isn't part of the problem that, listen, I have seen CVs, not that I've been in an employing position, but I've been in offices where HR have gone, have a look at this, you will not believe this CV, and it's just awful. Some of them are handwritten.
Well, even if it's handwritten in some ways, I think at least you can see if they can actually write.
Not when it's written in red pen.
Yeah, that's true, but I do think that the CVs, they rely on spell check, which obviously doesn't always check the grammar. But I think that should be a basic skill that should be taught in schools and colleges.
Yeah.
Because we're all going to need to put CVs together. And I think also a little bit of training or what an interview can involve. Because often interviews involve a panel of people testing on site when people are very nervous. And you've got to remember, these are young people and not experienced like us.
What are some of the worst things you've seen?
On CVs?
Yeah.
I mean, just sort of like 50% of spelling errors right through the CVs. We will check our CVs before they go out to our clients.
Right.
So at least if the agency's working on your behalf, they will look. So at Red Recruitment, we do go through, and we won't just correct them. We actually point out the typing errors or the grammar errors.
Is it okay to lie on them a little bit, Margaret?
No, I don't think you should lie. I think you should look at the job spec that you're applying for, or the vacancy you're applying for, and see where you could mirror those qualities and skills. So you can fine-tune your CV, but there's no point lying saying you can do something when you can't.
I tell you the thing I hate, and we were talking about this in the office yesterday, and some people said their friends had done it, is when they do CVs that stand out. Like, they'll put it in an envelope full of glitter or something, or they'll get it, they'll have a T-shirt printed with a CV on, or stuff like that. Those wacky things don't work, do they?
No, they don't. And they went through a phase where people putting their photographs on CVs, and that's not a good idea. I think if you keep your CV simple, keep it to 2 pages.
Yeah.
Especially when you're very young, you possibly can only fill a page. My advice is that they put all the extracurricular things, like if they're in sports teams, which They might not think it's important, but it shows team.
Are they really important? If you say, right, on Saturday afternoons I go to the pub and I'm at part of the local darts club, is Next or Topshop or wherever going to go, oh, hey, he's in the darts club, let's get this one in?
Well, it shows that he's part of a team, he's willing to train up, he's committed to that team. He's obviously got a bit of an outgoing, or she's got an outgoing personality. She's not going to be shy, so if that was someone serving in my shop, I'd be very interested in that sort of person. And you remember, they haven't got much work experience to talk about. They've only got their qualifications. So they need to add in some things that they've been doing. Any voluntary work is really important as well, if they do Dukes of Edinburgh. All these things an employer will look at because they accept that they don't have the experience.
How competitive is it for young people to get a job? I'm guessing there are lots of people going for not many jobs.
Yeah, and the situation is, even we just don't talk about their career jobs, the basic getting part-time Saturday jobs is very competitive.
They can't even get Saturday jobs anymore?
Well, you can't walk in and in the old days where you just hand your CV into the shop manager.
When I got my first job at B-Jams, I was 15 years old, didn't even have a CV. I just went, a friend of mine said, they've got loads of jobs going at B-Jams, come down. I went in, saw this bloke, Mr. Campbell, got any jobs going? Yep, you can start on Friday night. Boom!
Well, I'm the same generation.
Yes.
I just walked into the big retail fashion shop, asked if they needed a Saturday girl, and got employed straight away. But this is what I'm saying, that when now they have to go through all this loop of going onto websites, downloading a CV, answering all the questions, and they don't even get as far as an interview.
But Margaret, you can't be saying that going onto a website and answering some tricky questions is a bad thing. That will sort out the wheat from the chaff, won't it?
It is one of the things. If they're having hundreds and hundreds of applications, what's happening is that the teenagers are getting no's without any clarification what's wrong. Is it their qualifications? They don't even know if they've answered the questions right or wrong, so they can't even improve on it. Whereas if someone goes for an interview through Red, we will always try and get interview feedback and give that to the candidate. They can't improve if they're not being advised where they're going wrong in the process of applying for a job.
Margaret, thank you very much. Managing Director at Red Recruitment Limited on the Facebook page. Heidi Clark has said, my son graduated 18 months ago and he's applied for about 20 jobs a week. Still no job. If you've got kids, 17, 18, how patronising. Listen to me. If you've got kids who are 18, young people in your family, maybe your children or your grandchildren, are they struggling to get a job? How difficult is it for your son or your daughter to get a job? 08459 455 555 is the phone number. Later on, we'll be speaking to a graduate who's applied for more than 50 jobs without any luck. I'm kind of lucky. Doing this I haven't got a CV. I do a silly job. I don't need a CV. Imagine if you had to write a CV where you have to put, your GCSEs and things on it. Oh, God. What a depressing read that would be. 08459 455 555. Also the number for the Wednesday Whinge. If you want to have a moan. I'm really grumpy today. I don't know why. I was in bed at 8 o'clock. I had quite a good night's sleep. I'm just in a bit of a, just got a bit of a grump on.
Call 08459 455 555.
08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Coming up in the next half an hour, Nadine Dorries had to face another challenge, and I'm a Celebrity. She had to eat a camel's toe. Do you think that she's suffered enough? She's been in there, she's done it, she's had a good crack. Do you think she's suffered enough? 08459 455 555. And BBC Radio is marking its 90th birthday today. We're speaking to a Radio 1 legend later on. It's not Edith Bowman. No, it's not. It's not Vernon Kay. No, it's a proper legend. Very exciting. Now, listen to this. How much junk mail do you get? It does annoy me. I get a lot of it. Of course I do. You do. Well, junk mail is set to make up an even greater share of the average postbag as Royal Mail tries to compensate for the flagging number of genuine letters. The total number of addressed letters fell by 9% in the 6 months to September. When did you last send a letter, like a proper letter? Not a bill or a cheque or, something like... When did you write a letter? So, right, I'm going to write a letter to my nan or to my grandson or to my friend. When did you do that? Could you let us know? I bet that there is no one listening to this show right now who sent a letter in the last month. 08459 455 555 if you can prove me wrong on that. Anyway, back to this. Unaddressed junk mail and flyers increased in volume to 1.6 billion items. 1.6 billion? I think they were all delivered to me last week. 60 million higher than in the same period last year. Combined with marketing letters addressed to individuals, marketing mail is now approaching half of all letter volumes. Royal Mail's chief executive, Moya Green, said, "We think we're poised to increase our share of the £16 billion advertising market in the UK." It's front page of the Daily Mail. Now listen, it's a big story. Is it really a front page story? I'm not sure. Perhaps they could have gone with something else. But the front page of the Mail is an avalanche of junk mail. It gets even more prominence than that naughty cleric, Abu Qatada. So, two things here. How much junk mail do you get? You've probably kept yesterday's, because it takes a few days, doesn't it, to throw it away? Or maybe you're going to get your post in a little bit. When your post comes, or if you've still got yesterday's, could you just count how many pieces of junk mail you've got, including the pizzas, including the letters from the charities, including I had one from Virgin Broadband. I'm not even on Virgin Broadband, and they sent me a letter. All of those. Could you just count how much you got yesterday or how much you get today? And you can text in 81333. Start your text 3CR. And also, can we find somebody who sent a letter in the last month, a proper letter? 08459 455 555. I bet we can't. The art of letter writing is dead. Long live the email. Your whinges are coming in thick and fast. We've got a celebrity whinge. Oh, yes, famous people not listening to the show. There's no, but on Twitter, yes. My good showbiz buddy, Arlene Phillips, I met her twice. She says, "Can I whinge via Twitter? An aircon fan keeps switching on and off in my Toronto apartment bedroom, driving me crazy. I need sleep." And Arlene, you're in Toronto. That almost negates the whinge, but of course you can. The worst thing, and we've all said this, in posh hotels and in cheap hotels that are 20 quid a night, is if you're near the lift. You get out and your room's next to the lift. You think, oh, that's convenient. Oh, that's very handy. I'm next to the lift. Oh, this is going to make my life so much easier. Then, of course, you remember at 1 o'clock in the morning that being near the lift means you get to hear the lift shaft all night. No one wants to hear a shaft all night, do they? And then you get to hear the drunk people coming out of the lift all night. So it's not so convenient, is it? 08459 455 555. Wednesday Whinge. It's happening now. If you want to take part, then please. It could be anything, big or small. You've got no milk in for your tea. You're upset with the way the country's being run. Anything at all. Now, it was Nadine Dorris's second Bush-Tucker trial last night. The Mid-Beds MP. She's an MP, is she? I didn't realise. Had to eat 5 dishes to win 5 meals. Doesn't sound that bad, does it?
Eeny, meeny, miny, moe. Catch a camel by the toe.
That's camel toe.
What do you mean camel toe?
You've got to eat a portion of the camel toe.
You can go 2-0 in the lead now, Nadine.
Does it taste vile?
It's impossible to chew. Oh.
Is it down?
You got it. You got it.
Yeah, well done.
Oh my God, well done. Seriously, that was...
2 out of 2.
That was hard.
Yeah, well done.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, that's
not that one.
That's what you want to hear during breakfast, isn't it? Is an outspoken MP retching live on air. That's what you want. That's what the BBC's for. So, a baked... Now, what did she have? A camel toe, a baked spider... Oh, have I really got to say this out loud? An ostrich anus and a lamb's testicle later, she had successfully taken 4 meals back to the camp. I do apologise if you've got kids listening.
Oh, God, the taste of that.
Hold on. Is it gone?
Yeah. Quick.
So, well done, Nadine. That's 4 out of 5, which means you are today's winner. You go back to camp with 4 meals.
They'll be absolutely ecstatic to get some food tonight. I'm sad it's not 5 and it's only 4, but I'll go without and they can have it.
Anyway, you've eaten.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Of course you should go without. You failed the task, love. She missed out on taking 5 meals back because she didn't eat the fermented egg. So, are the public slowly forgiving her? Was she voted to do tonight's Bush-Tucker trial?
It is between Helen and Nadine.
Oh, it's only one. It's only one person.
Yeah. The one person the public have decided they want to see face Cruelty Towers is... Helen.
Ooh.
Helen. You know where it is. We'll see it at the Bush Tucker trial area.
Well, today on the JVS show, Jonathan's programme comes live from Mid-Bedfordshire, the constituency where Nadine Dorries is occasionally a Member of Parliament. While she was chewing on unmentionables in the jungle, her constituents were chewing on the fact that she's thousands of miles away. Hey, who writes this stuff? This is good today. This is good. Her role in I'm a Celebrity means that she is nowhere near her office in Shefford, where she holds her surgery, to listen to the concerns of the people who she asked to vote her in. Well, she's not there, but someone a little bit better is. Jonathan Vernon Smith. He's on the High Street in Shefford from 9 until 12 today. If you've got a problem that you wanted her to hear, then go and tell her instead. No, him instead. Hang on a second. If he can help, he will. And it's his birthday. And he loves getting birthday kisses from the listeners. He told me that. He's a consumer champion. Get him in there! So I put a little bit of echo on their production. See, production values. This is what it's all about. We're going to take this breakfast show into the late 1990s. Now, on the subject of writing letters, Margaret's in Harpenden. Good morning, Margaret.
Good morning.
You don't write letters, do you?
I do.
No, you don't.
I write letters and I write emails.
You've just phoned up to be peculiar with me. What was the last letter you wrote?
Yesterday.
Okay, okay. No, let's further investigation. Who was it to?
A friend.
And give us, without going into the particulars, give us the gist of it.
Well, it was going to be one of her birthdays, and I did send a rather nice birthday letter together with a birthday card.
Oh, Margaret, I'm so sorry. I can't include that. It's a birthday card.
Well, there's a letter.
No, that's not. I can, Margaret. No. I can't include a letter included in a birthday card. No, don't be so silly.
No, that's not what you said, is it? You said.
You put a letter in a birthday card. That doesn't count. Okay, let's exclude that. That one's off the list. When was the last time you sent a letter, sans card? There was no card involved.
Oh, gosh, about a couple of months ago.
There we go. You see, Margaret, I'm afraid I have to exclude you. I'm looking for someone who specifically sent a letter. I'm sorry to be harsh. Who specifically sent a letter in the last month. And a letter inside a card, it doesn't... Are you one of those people, Margaret, that at Christmas you do a round robin? Well, you do a letter.
No, not really. No,
I don't like those. Did you ever? I've got friends that do those, or my mum's friends do those. They say, "Okay, so hi everyone, this is what's been happening in the last 12 months," and you think, "Oh, for goodness sakes, I'm really not that bothered."
Well, to be true, I have done that, and then I thought, no, this is not quite the thing to do, is it? So I just normal Christmas card.
Okay.
Write a note in it. That's it.
Well, next time you send a letter, sans card, let me know. Do you get a lot of junk mail, Margaret?
Too much junk mail.
What kind of stuff do you get?
Oh, God, everything on the earth, I think, and I don't appreciate it. I'm an elderly lady. I've got arthritis in my back, and I have to bend down every day and pick the wretched stuff up.
Oh, hang on a minute. We've got Catherine. If you're listening, we've got a news angle on this. So, hang on. No, listen. This is a good story. So, pensioners with arthritis are being forced into painful positions because of the Royal Mail's stance on making more money by sending out junk mail.
Absolutely. I have put a notice on my letterbox which says no free leaflets, but
don't work.
If you want to stop leaflets from the Royal Mail, you have to go, and I don't know where it is, somewhere on email to a certain site to give them certain details, and then they will consider not putting them through your door.
Margaret, thank you very much for your call. I'm sorry to be so harsh, but in being harsh, I think we've got a national story out of this. Elderly people with arthritis are being forced... They're enduring pain because of the Royal Mail trying to make more money. This is disgusting. Thank you, Margaret. Excellent call. On Facebook, Tony O'Hara is wearing a Wednesday whinge. I'm always grumpy on a Wednesday. It's my day off, and I seem to be hounded by cold callers on the phone and at the door. Not good if you work. No, those people that knock on the door. Can you spare a minute, sir? No, I can't spare a minute. I was having a doze. I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I like to have a doze at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. For goodness sakes. And breathe. How can you be grumpy when you're listening to Candy by Robbie Williams? It's just so much fun. Can I just ask members of my team, don't send me naughty messages while I'm in the studio, please. Save them for off air. It wasn't any of you. It was Kelly Betts upstairs. Sent me a very, very naughty message that made me laugh out loud. I'm glad I received that while a record was playing. So we're still looking for someone who's written a letter in the last month. We had that lovely young lady who was on earlier. It doesn't count because she sent it with a birthday card. No, I'm not going to include that, I'm afraid. Sending a birthday card, I'll jot some stuff down. It doesn't count. If you specifically sent a letter in the last month. None of you will have done. The letter is dead. Long live the email. Or the text, lol. 08459 455 555. Now, I think this is a cracking story. The BBC Radio, is marking its 90th birthday today. To mark the occasion, the corporation are airing 90 tiny 90-second programmes featuring archive content from 1922 to 2012. Problem is, which bits do you choose? There are so many. Well, I'm genuinely excited now. We get to speak to a proper legend of radio. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Diddy David Hamilton. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Ian.
Do you get upset when people still use the prefix Diddy?
Yeah, it was, I think it was about 45 years ago now that Ken Dodd gave me that nickname.
You're a grown man now, aren't you?
And at the time, he said to me, do you mind me calling you that? Because if you mind, I won't do it anymore. He said, but if you don't mind, I think it'll stick, and I've been stuck with it that time.
Boy, oh boy, did it stick. But you are an adult now, aren't you, David? You're fully grown.
I am a grown man now. Well, not completely grown, but sort of grown, you know.
What's your favourite speech radio moment? Now, I know that's an almost impossible task because there is so much that's happened, but is there one bit that kind of excites you or makes you laugh or makes you sad?
Oh, do you know, at this time of the morning, having just got up, that is such a difficult question. I think, you know, I must say this to you, Ian, I was really part of what I call the radio generation. You know, I grew up with radio, and we didn't have a television, and I was living on a very remote farm, and it brought the world into our farmhouse. And I remember listening to the commentaries of people like Raymond Glendenning, you know, terrific sports commentators, and I used to hear places like St James's Park and Old Trafford and try to imagine what it was like of all the, you know, thousands of people who were gathered in these grounds. It brought wonderful variety and entertainment into our farmhouse. There was a program called In Town Tonight on Saturday night where, you know, we stopped the sound of London's traffic. So radio had a magic for me as I grew up, which I've never lost that. And I think the great thing about radio, I mean, you do it every morning, is that it's one-to-one.
Yes.
You know, you're not addressing a crowd of people. Much more intimate than television. It's the most intimate medium. You are one person in a room on your own. I mean, it sounds really odd.
It does sound a little bit weird when you put it like that.
Listening at home or in the car or wherever, you know, that is the magic of radio. In answer to your question, there have been so many magical radio moments down the years. Hard, really, to think of the best. What would be the best one for you?
Well, do you know, it kind of fluctuates. It is a tough question. I have to say, and this isn't just because I'm working here, one of my favourite hours of radio at the moment is Jonathan Vernon Smith, who does the show after me, when he does his consumer hour, because I think he is warm, he's hilariously funny, and he just gets I like radio when it's people phoning up and talking, and you get to hear real people kind of sharing their odd and their bizarre stories. That, for me, is when radio is at its best.
I agree with you, and, you know, the funny thing is that having worked in music radio for so many years, if I listen to the radio now, most of the time I listen to talk radio. And I think the reason is because it's stimulating, and as you know, if you're on a radio program and you've got people on the phone, you can't be Mr. Nice Guy all the time.
No.
And sometimes it's those broadcasters who are really rude who are compulsive listening, because you think, what on earth is he going to say next? And sometimes you don't actually like the person very much, and you think, what an opinionated so-and-so, but you can't stop listening.
Exactly. Well,
that's the magic of radio again.
I've just remembered my favourite bit of radio. It was a guy called Tommy Boyd, and I think it wasn't BBC, but I can go off on slightly. I think he was on LBC, and he was pretending that they were going... No, he was on TalkSport, and he was pretending that they were going to bring bullfighting to Birmingham, and that he was really for it. And just the number of... Obviously, it was complete nonsense, but the number of phone calls he had, phoning him up, having a go, and saying, you're so obnoxious, you're so arrogant, and it was wonderful. And it's
obviously going to happen in the bull ring,
well, exactly, but the phrase they use is the theatre of the mind, and it is just because you're imagining stuff. With TV and film, it's all there for you. You're given everything. With the radio, it's all in your head. You kind of make sense of the sounds, and you create the pictures yourself. And that, for me, is why I love radio so much.
Absolutely.
I think.
Well, that's what radio did for me as a boy. It created the pictures. It brought the world into our remote farmhouse. And you know, I've just had a love affair with radio ever since. I mean, I just love it. And I think in this time now where, you know, the BBC has had so much criticism, rightly or wrongly, over, you know, current events that have been going on. I think it's great today that we have something to celebrate. I'm just wondering, actually, how you can encapsulate everything into such a short amount of time. That's going to be fascinating, isn't it?
It's going to be worth a listen, and this is why I was keen to do it, because the BBC has had a bit of a kicking recently, and some of it's right and some of it I think is possibly wrong. But the BBC does do radio brilliantly. Why do you think they do it so well, David? It's more consistent than anywhere else.
I don't know the answer to that. I've been working in commercial radio for many years now, and last year I went down to BBC Radio Devon. I did a couple of weeks down there, sitting in for somebody who was away on holiday. And I thought, not just saying this because I'm on the BBC, but I thought, you know, when I go back to the BBC, I realise that the BBC do it right. And they do it with style. The buildings are nicer. You have a team. I'm sorry to say this, but in commercial radio, I did everything myself. I didn't have a producer, you know. But you have a team. You have a production team. You have researchers, producers, the presenter. And I think, you know, the BBC still does it best.
David, it's lovely to talk to you. Thanks so much for coming on.
You in?
There we go. David Hamilton, the proper legend of radio. He's one of the voices I grew up with. Wonderful. Well, what a great voice he's still got. Fantastic. That's cheered me up having David Hamilton. And wasn't he nice? Wasn't he nice? I'm still a bit grumpy, though. It's still the Wednesday whinge. 08459 455 555. Phone up. Just have a whinge about anything you want. Here's someone who's very grumpy. It's Catherine Boyle. Thank you, Catherine. Good morning. This is Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. It's just gone 7 o'clock. It's Wednesday, the 14th of November. It's Jonathan Vernon Smith's birthday. I know, how exciting is that? I've got him some cracking presents. He's out and about later on. We'll explain more about that a bit later on in the show, but you might be able to grab him and have a word with him. Coming up in this hour of the show, former Luton South MP Margaret Mann did fiddle her expenses. The Taxpayers Alliance say justice hasn't been done. Should she be forced to pay the money back? Young people apply for 17 jobs before getting an interview. How difficult is it for your son or daughter to get work? And junk mail is set to make up an even greater share of the average postbag. Couple of things. When did you last send a letter, a proper letter, where you sat down and you wrote a letter to a friend or a relative? And also, if your post has come or is coming, could you count how much junk there is in your mail? Let's see if we can find the person in Beds, Hearts and Bucks with the most junk mail. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, the Taxpayers Alliance say they feel like justice hasn't been done after former Luton South MP Margaret Moran was found to have fiddled her expenses to the tune of a whopping £53,000. According to the House of Commons in 2009, she repaid £6,000 in relation to claims on her second home in Southampton and £65 for office cleaning. Well, following the ruling yesterday, the Crown Prosecution Service say they will look to see if any action might be taken in the recovery of funds. She can't be sent to jail like other MPs who've been convicted of fraudulently claiming expenses, as she wasn't mentally fit enough to stand trial. Earlier on, I spoke to Jonathan Isaby from the Taxpayers Alliance.
Forging documents in order to claim money from taxpayers. It's an utter abuse, and it's actually, I think, in terms of the amount of money, it's the worst abuse of any of the cases that came up as a result of that MP's expenses scandal. I'm very sorry that she's not very well and that she was not able to stand trial. Obviously the judge made the decision that she was not physically able to stand trial. It just creates such a massive sense of frustration for taxpayers, particularly those people in Luton who were her constituents, who feel that she has absolutely let them down and taken advantage and abused the system.
Well, Alex Radley is a criminal lawyer with Luton-based Noble Solicitors. He's dealt with clients who've been deemed unfit to plead. He joins me now. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Ian.
How unusual is it for someone to be considered unfit to plead?
It's actually very unusual for someone to find themselves in that position. And before someone is found unfit to plead, there has to be 2 reports prepared by psychiatrists who are registered under the Mental Health Act to provide that advice. So it's quite difficult.
And how detailed are those reports? They go and see her a couple of times, or how does it work?
Yes, they would go to see the doctor a couple of times. There's an extensive report, bearing in mind all the time that the psychiatrists have an overriding duty to the court when presenting a report to it.
Some people have suggested that this is an easy way out for someone accused of serious offences. What's your view on that?
If it is, it's an extreme step to take to find yourself in that position. It's, in my experience, I've had some people I've represented who have been, I consider to, as a layperson, to be extremely ill and have never been found to be in a position where they're unfit to plead. So it's quite unusual.
Maybe you can't answer this, but do you know what criteria the medical staff are looking for? Is it self-harming, being suicidal? What kind of things are they keeping an eye out for?
Particularly in terms of the fitness to plead argument, it's whether the person who is accused is in a position where they can instruct their counsel in relation to the case, and whether they would be in a position where they could question people about any issues arising in the evidence.
The judge in this case has adjourned it after the jury's verdict while he decides what action to take. What options are there for how he can deal with this and this situation? With
there are 3 main options, really.
Yeah.
The first is, I think, something that Mr. Sturman QC asked for before the case was adjourned, which was a discharge, which means that the court have come to a finding, but there is no punishment that's necessary in the case.
And is that a possibility? Because there will be people out there, particularly from her constituency, who'll be furious at that.
It's not a possibility because Lord Justice has said, no, that's not going to happen.
OK, that's been ruled out.
So it seems to have been ruled out. The next step would really be to have some sort of supervision within the community, and supervision is normally accompanied by some sort of medical treatment as well.
So what does the supervision mean exactly? Sorry, speak to me as though I'm an idiot, because I kind of am on this.
I am at this time in the morning.
Right,
as well.
Tell me about it.
So as far as the supervision is concerned, it's a person supervised the person who's been in trouble from the probation service, and they guide them and make sure the appropriate treatment is being taken on board, and liaise with the doctors who are providing the treatment, and then also liaise between the court and the doctors to confirm that that supervision is continuing as it should be and has been set by the judge.
And if she's given a hospital order or a supervision order, is there a time scale put in that? They say it's going to be 6 months, it's going to be 6 years, or is it just until she's well?
No, that would be restricted by time.
Right.
As far as supervision is concerned. Recently I had a case where the person was fit to plead, but one of the options on sentence was for supervision and treatment because the young woman had ADHD and some other learning difficulties, and so it was treated quite well by supervision and by treatment. The final step, which is the most draconian step of the 3, is a mental health order, where someone could be taken into a mental health unit and detained there until they are well to be released.
Because I guess, and I've seen this on Twitter, and I've spoken to friends and who have been in prison, and a lot of them are going, it's not fair. And it doesn't seem fair from the outside, does it? That someone who has been involved in and has been found guilty of defrauding taxpayers could seemingly get off scot-free.
Well, they haven't been found guilty in the traditional sense of things.
Right.
I think
so there's a difference,
important.
Is there?
Yes,
right, okay.
there is. Because in simple terms, when someone commits a crime, generally there is the act of committing the crime, the physical act of committing the crime, and there is the mental element of the crime as well. In these circumstances, the physical act of committing the crime has been found to be proved against Miss Moran. In terms of the mental element of the crime, that was not proved against her, and so therefore there has not been a finding of a criminal allegation against her. So there is a finding. It is very complicated. There is a finding that she commit the act, but that she was unfit to plead, so therefore didn't go through to the full criminal trial.
If her options, if her condition improves, are there options for the case to be recalled, for her to face punishment then?
No.
Wow.
In terms of the case, it's at an end after the sentence takes place.
And the £53,000, what happens to that?
Well, in the normal circumstances, now the prosecuting authorities are very active with regard to the proceeds of crime legislation. And after the conclusion of a serious criminal trial at the Crown Court, a timetable is set for the recovery of the money that was the ill-gotten gains through the Proceeds of Crime Act.
Any idea how much a case like this would cost to bring to court?
Well, in terms of normal costs that the prosecution would ask for, I don't know exactly in this case, but perhaps in a case of normal length and in terms of the same time as this one, maybe £2,000-3,000 in costs.
Because there are some people who are saying, listen, we knew from the start that she wasn't going to go to prison, or, because of her being unfit. What was the point of doing it?
Well, they have to go through the process of finding unfitness, and that's why they went to that stage.
OK, listen, thank you so much, Jonathan Isby from the Taxpayers... sorry, I do apologise. Alex Radley. Sorry, that's the earlier guest. Alex Radley, criminal lawyer with Luton-based Noble Solicitors. Thank you very much for coming in.
My pleasure.
Ridiculous time in the morning, I know, but when was the last time you wrote a letter, just going off on a tangent, and not a business letter asking for money? Do you write letters?
I thought about that when we was downstairs, actually. I think in my family, the only one that's writing letters is my son, who's out of the country at the moment, to his nan, because she hasn't got the internet.
How old's your son?
23.
Good. Well, there you go, you see. Good lad, writing letters to Nan. Thank you very much for that, Alex. There we go. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number. If you want to give us a call about that, do let us know your views.
Call 08459 455 555.
08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There we are. We're going all over the place like a mad lady in a shop. Shirley from Milton Keynes. Good morning, Shirley.
Good morning, Ian.
When was the last time you wrote a letter?
About 3 weeks ago.
OK. Who was it to?
It was to my local MP's office.
Oh, here we go. This is a proper letter. What was it about, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, it's about the way that Iain Duncan Smith wants to be paying our pensions and things. He wants to do it monthly or something, I believe.
Yeah.
Which will be no good to me because it'll upset all my direct debits.
Shirley, this is great. So not only did you write a letter to your MP, it was a whinging letter.
It was a whinging letter.
Good for you.
That was a whinging letter, yes.
Good.
Because it'll cause me so many problems to have my pension paid monthly.
And did you hear back from your MP?
I did. Within a couple of days, I had a reply.
And what did your MP say?
Well, he said that a letter is being sent... No, he didn't. It was very good, actually.
Yeah.
I've written several letters to him, actually. But he said that a letter had been forwarded on to Iain Duncan Smith about my concern.
Good for you.
But it could probably take about 3 months before I get a reply from that one.
Well, Shirley, let us know what they say. And very quickly, do you get a lot of junk mail?
Yes, I do.
And what do you do with it? Do you ever look at it?
It goes in the bin.
It goes in the bin. You wonder...
In the recycling bin, because I, like the lady earlier on, I also have arthritis in the spine.
Royal Mail are really bullying pensioners with arthritis. Shame on them.
Yeah.
Shirley, thank you very much for that. You do wonder, don't you, how useful this junk mail is? Because it all just goes in the bin, doesn't it? Shirley, they're talking about how she wrote to her MP. Well, if you live in mid-beds, your MP is in the middle of a jungle. What are you going to do? Call Ghostbusters? No, I don't think so. But you can go and meet Jonathan Vernon Smith today. He's going to be on the High Street in Shefford from 9 o'clock, just by the War Memorial. And he wants to know anything that you would normally take to your MP, take it to Jonathan Vernon Smith. Send an email now, jvsshow@bbc.co.uk. Let them know what you want to have a moan about, and then you can go and meet him this morning and tell him on air. He'll try and sort it out for you. 08459 455 555 is the phone number if you want to give us a call. Lots of things on the go. We're having a Wednesday whinge. If you want to have a moan about anything, and it can be that you've just woken up and you've made some toast and you open the fridge, there's no butter in there. Or it can be about the state of the country. 08459 455 555. I just woke up in a really grumpy mood, and I came in and there were some grumpy emails. And then this Moran story, and then it turns out that the Herts County Council won't come on and talk about the fire that's taken place. It's just got to be grumpy. We can't get hold of the company who own the land where the fire... We've got to be grumpy. So if you want to have a whinge, come and have a whinge, and let's embrace and be miserable together, shall we? Now, here's another story that got me a bit grumpy. If your son or daughter is struggling to get an interview, let alone a job, then they are far from alone. According to a study out today, most of them are applying for 17 positions before even being offered an interview. Employment statistics show that many job seekers blame the schooling system, while half admit they could do more personally to get a job. William Lacey is from Harpenden. He graduated in June with a degree in politics, and since then he's applied for 50 jobs. He joins me now. Good morning, William.
Oh, yeah.
Why do you think you've been unsuccessful in finding work?
I think that the applications I was sending out at first weren't really any good.
So it was your fault to start with?
Well, I certainly think that if there were a hell of a lot more jobs out there, they wouldn't have been so choosy and they wouldn't have had such high standards of applications. What do you think? We would have had a better time.
What do you think you were doing wrong, William, then, in the early applications?
Well, there are all kinds of little tricks you have to get right. I mean, with the cover letter, for example, I was writing very long ones. I was trying to get across how enthusiastic I was.
Yeah.
But actually, they have to be really quite brief. They just have to be quite short, to the point, and quite sort of frank, and just very simply sum up what you're doing on your CV.
It is very tempting, isn't it, to be very verbose and look intelligent and stuff like that. And you're right, they probably just want a quick, short, sharp, this is what I am, this is what I can give you, when can we meet, kind of thing.
Yeah. There's all kinds of little things I was doing wrong, and which I think a lot of people do wrong.
And how did you learn you were doing these things wrong? Did someone just kind of take you to one side? Did you go to an agency, or was it just through you learning yourself?
I'll say the latter, yeah, just learning myself. I mean, I've been lucky. I'm in quite a stable circumstances here, so I am able to spend time applying for jobs. I don't have to worry about other things too much. So I've been able to learn it myself.
It must be frustrating, and I would imagine a little bit depressing, though, if you keep sending out letters and you don't even get an interview. Yeah. Well,
funny enough, it's not, because...
Oh, really?
I say yeah, but it's not, and that's because I'm not used to that kind of way of being. I think in the past, you sent out a letter, then you got an interview, and that was where that's where the real, test began. For me, it doesn't even start there. The real test begins at the application form, and then it's the online test, and then it's maybe an assessment centre or a telephone interview, and then it's an actual interview.
Hang on a minute, you have to do a telephone interview before you go and meet someone face to face?
Yeah.
I'm so out of touch with the real world. I so live in a Ponzi media bubble. So what, someone phones you up and you chat to them for 20 minutes or something?
Yeah, something like that. That's what I've got planned later on. Yeah, they're going to call me up and we're going to have a little interview.
Well, I was going to say, because you were, William, I was furious to find out you weren't coming into the studio today because you were booked to come in. But then it turns out that you have got an interview today.
Yeah,
which is fantastic. Right. And it's a phone interview, is it?
Yeah. It's quite soon, so I had my eyes at 5:45 and I thought, good grief, I can't justify this.
What time is the phone interview?
It's at about 8:55.
Oh, okay. So, hey, listen, can we give you a call tomorrow and find out how it went?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be keen to know. And is there anything you can do to prepare yourself for these phone interviews?
Well, you've got to make sure your answers are right, but you've got to make sure that you've you're also limited by technology, so you've got to make sure that your telephone's good and that you can actually have a decent conversation on it. But luckily, this exercise is actually fulfilling that purpose.
We're helping you. I want 15% or whatever you get. The thing I find is I am much better face-to-face. I'm terrible on the phone. I get really anxious on the phone. So I would fall at that hurdle, I think. I'm good at writing. When I was getting proper jobs years ago, I was very good at filling in application forms. I remember I got a job in HMV because the manager said, this is the best application form I've ever seen in my life. I think it was because I could write properly and string a sentence together. It was only HMV. But on the phone, I would fall. Did you get any training at school or university in preparing you for job hunting?
Well... Obviously, you learn how to write and you learn how to research and things like that, and those are the most important skills. Everything else is just sort of a little bit of practice. You're never ever trained. At university, they do give you talks, and they say, "Oh, this is a good thing for employability. You know, this is something you might like to put on your CV." But no specific training. I think it is a bit of a conversion exercise. You have to take what you learned at school, and then you have to go for a kind of painful few months where you put it to use in a different way.
William, what do you want to do when you grow up?
I would like to work for the government.
There we go. Fantastic. Well, listen, William, I wish you the best of luck with the phone call today.
Thanks very much.
We'll give you a little call tomorrow, if that's all right, and see how you got on.
Sure. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent stuff. There you go. Well, there you go. That's exciting. He was due to come in. He can't come in. He's got an interview. That's a good enough reason. I think we can allow that one to slide by. William Lacey from Harpenden. Well, we'll find out tomorrow. 5 to 9 his phone call is. So let's send him good energy, shall we? Does that work? No, of course it doesn't. But we can wish him our very, very best indeed. 08459 455 555. Letters. Junk mail. There's going to be more junk mail. Because the Royal Mail, they make money from this junk mail. Of course they do. It hadn't even occurred to me. The poor postman carrying around that big sack of junk. You know, the Royal Mail getting a lot of money. 08459 455 555. Doris is in Hemel. Good morning, Doris.
Hello.
Do you get a lot of junk?
Yes, I do, and I like it.
Sorry, you like the junk? Are you bonkers?
No. I use every part of it. And
what for?
Well, you know, sometimes there's a free envelope in to write back.
Yeah.
I use that to write to friends. I put a label over their address.
Oh, that's a good idea. Well done. Recycling.
And also the blank side of the letter I use for shopping lists. There's not much left when I've finished with it.
Listen, you are... this is what
I'm
everyone's...
bonkers, aren't I?
Well, no, you are bonkers, Doris. Yes, I'll give you that. But... No, but you're doing what we're all encouraged to be doing. You're recycling.
I know,
You're saving the planet. So thank you for that.
I know.
So it does none of it go in the bin?
Well, just that anything I can't use if it's wrote on both sides and all that, you know?
When was the last time you ordered a pizza?
Oh, I don't do anything like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I prefer a letter to a phone call, and everyone I write to more or less phones me up. And do you know what? You'll never believe this.
Go on.
Go on.
Go on.
And when people ask me, what would I like for Christmas? Guess what I say? Writing paper, envelopes, pens, stamps, and I'll get it.
So, this brings us on to think, I'm guessing then that you write letters quite a lot.
Oh, I do.
When was the last time that you wrote?
Yesterday. Every day I'm writing. And a lot of them rather phone me up and I say, please write to me.
and I'll agree with you, Doris. There is something very, very nice about getting a letter.
There is.
There is something very special about getting it, because a phone call, you have it and it's gone. A letter, you can read it in the morning, you can go back in the afternoon with a cup of tea, and then if it's a sexy one, you can read it in bed.
Oh, no.
You can, can't you?
I don't get them.
You don't get those anymore?
Oh, no,
that's a shame.
no.
So who did you write to yesterday?
I've got a pen friend in Lancashire. We met on holiday and we've been writing, and she's the same as me, writes to everyone.
Well, there you go. You've said a phrase there I've not heard in years. A pen friend. I didn't know they still happened. I had a pen friend in New Zealand when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah. There are some that do have a pen friend. Oh, I'm going to stutter now.
No, don't stutter. Doris.
Yes.
Would you like me to send you a sexy letter?
I'm a bit old for that sort of thing.
Never too old for that sort of thing, Doris. Never too old.
Many a good tune played on an old fiddle then. Oh dear, you'll get me to say things.
You'll lose me in my job.
Listen to me.
Doris, listen, it's lovely to talk to you. Thank you for calling in.
Okay, Pet.
There we go. Oh, wasn't she bonkers, but wonderful. Favourite call of the day. We've had some good calls as well, so to call that as a favourite is a tough one. Wasn't she fantastic? Thank you, Doris. She's made me laugh. Linda in Milton Keynes on the text 81333, starting your text 3. Many a good tune played on an old fiddle. Iain, I sent a letter to my friend in New Zealand, handwritten last week. I find it more personal. Love your show. Thank you, Linda. Jen of Houghton Regis. The art of letter writing is not dead. I write at least 3 letters a week by hand on lovely notepaper. A curse on all emails. Chris in Amersham says it's possible that the majority of letters are written and received from prisons. It could be, I suppose. I do like receiving letters. It doesn't happen very often. But handwriting a letter. If I sit down and try and handwrite a letter, and I did this a while ago, I get about 4 or 5 sentences and I get the cramp. I get the cramp in my hand. I'm having terrible trouble with my thumb at the moment as well, for some reason. You know, I said my big toe's hurting. My thumb's hurting as well on my right hand. So the thought of me holding a pen and writing, I don't know if I could do it. Well, Doris has opened up a whole can of worms. Pen friends? Pen pals? Have you got one? Do you still have one? 08459 455 555. I genuinely thought we wouldn't get any calls from people who've written letters. We've had quite a few. Quite a few.
This is Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning. Coming up in the next half an hour, MK Dons boss Carl Robinson has said a meeting between his side and AFC Wimbledon in the FA Cup will evoke bad memories for some supporters, but insists the game was an inevitability. I'll speak to fans from both sides to see how they're feeling about it. And being a football idiot, I need one of these gentlemen to explain this situation. I've kind of got a rough idea of what the situation is. I need someone to just clarify it for me, and we'll get that later on. Also, Mid-Beds MP Nadine Dorries had to chomp on a camel's toe in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here last night. Has she suffered enough? We'll get the verdict from our political reporter, Paul Scoynes, who looks like a sad bear. We're having a whinging... He does, and he admits it. He said it was the most accurate description he'd ever heard of himself, and then posted loads of pictures of sad bears on his Twitter. Now, we're having a whinging Wednesday. I woke up, I was grumpy. I don't know why, I just woke up grumpy. I do sometimes. And I came in and there were grumpy emails, and I was grumpy about some of the stories, and I just thought we'd have a whinging Wednesday. You can call in about anything and have a moan. Anything you want. It can be the fact you've got no sugar to put in your coffee, to, you know, the problems going on in America. Anything you want. 08459 455 555. Nothing is too big and nothing is too small. Karen is in Hemel. Good morning, Karen.
Good morning.
You want to have a whinge, do you?
Oh, I do.
Go on then, away you go.
About a particular bus that goes from Hemel to St Albans.
Well, and what's happened?
On Monday, you know, because of this fire going on,
yep.
Went to get a bus Monday morning, and obviously I didn't realise that the fire, you know, that the roads were blocked, and the bus took a different route than it normally does to go to St Albans. It went Redbourne way. Then I realised what was happening, that there was something going on. I got a return ticket. So I got off at Colney Heath Lane and went to work, and then got back on at the bus stop to get back on the bus on my way up back to Hemel. And the bus driver said, "I'm not going back to Hemel Hempstead."
Sorry?
I was like, "Pardon?" He said, "I'm not going to Hemel Hempstead. You have to get off in St Albans Town Centre." I'm like, "I beg your pardon, how can I return my journey?" And he said, "Well, apparently there's a shuttle bus. But you have to wait. I don't know how long you have to wait, maybe an hour."
Oh, well, that's helpful, isn't it?
Cut a long story short, waited an hour and 10 minutes. No shuttle bus was going to Hemel Hempstead. Every bus that came along said they were terminating at King Harry Lane. And I had to get a taxi with 5 other people that were going to Hemel. Actually, there were more than that at the bus stop moaning to get home that evening. Yesterday, my daughter went to get the very same bus, went to the bus stop an hour early, just in case there was a shuttle bus, which never turned up.
Yeah.
She paid £15 to get into St Albans. To get to work, her colleague rang the bus company and they said that the shuttle bus was optional. Optional.
So that optional to them whether they put it on or not?
Yes. Is my fare optional then?
How is that possible?
Exactly. I mean, I have seen the shuttle bus, and obviously it goes the Redbourne way because the roads are blocked.
Yeah.
Why can't it just make that journey anyway?
Oh, Karen, you're getting me. I was calming down now. You got me all grumpy and angry again.
Oh, yeah.
I tell you what's got me grumpy is the council won't come on and talk about this blooming fire.
Well,
No, and we can't get hold of the company either that owns the land.
Well, typical, yeah.
Oh, Karen, do you feel better for letting it out, though?
Oh, yes, thank you very much.
How are you getting to work today?
Oh, I'm driving. I have to drive today.
And how long is it going to take you?
It's probably about 15 minutes extra.
Okay. Well, listen, I'm glad that we've helped.
Yeah, thank you.
But I'm grumpy about optional shuttle buses replacing a service.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karen. Have a good day.
Thank you.
There
bye.
we go. You see, it's therapeutic. It's therapeutic to let it out. Optional shuttle buses? Are you joking? 08459 455 555. Give us a call. Have a whinge about anything you want. She was good. She was a good whinger. We like to have a whinge. It's in our nature to do this. As British, we're good at whinging, and that's what we do, and we enjoy it. Kind of get a perverse pleasure. There's nothing better than moaning about something. That's a proper genuine moan she had there. 08459 455 555 is the phone number if you want to give us a call. Now, Nick Coffer, today, he's going to speak to one of the men who make your morning cup of tea all the better. Between 12 and 3, he's going to be speaking to a milkman. Do you still get milkman? Apparently you do. Nick's going to be speaking to one a bit later on. And also, did you know there's an England football team made up solely of England fans? I didn't know it. It turns out there is. One of the players is Rob Russell from Ampthill. He'll be telling Nick all about how the team works and what they do. Nick Coffer between 12 and 3 today. Now, Milton Keynes football. Milton Keynes Dons will host AFC Wimbledon in the FA Cup second round after Milton Keynes beat Cambridge City in last night's replay. It'll be the first meeting between the two clubs since the old Wimbledon controversially moved to Milton Keynes in 2003. Well, let's just try and keep this civil, gentlemen. We've got Simon Wheeler from the AFC Wimbledon Independent Supporters Association. Good morning, Simon.
Very good morning.
How are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. And you?
I'm good, thank you. And we've also got John Brockwell, who is he chairs the MK Dons Supporters Association. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
Can we keep this civil, gentlemen, please?
Oh, of course we can.
Okay.
Simon and I know each other well.
Okay,
There's no problems.
Okay, Phil, I'm just detecting a little bit of tension. I don't want any tension at all. Now, Simon, listen very quickly, because I'm not a football fan. In 30 seconds, can you explain the history and why this match is such a big issue?
Well, obviously in 2002, our football club was given permission to relocate to Milton Keynes by a very bizarre arbitration panel, despite Wimbledon fans avidly opposing it. There was a very infamous season where we protested for the full year. Milton Keynes obtained his football club by stealing Wimbledon Football Club's league race. Football supporters didn't like it, and therefore we decided to, the only option for us, and for our community, was to set up AFC Wimbledon, where we started in the 9th tier of English football in the Combined Counties League.
John, is this game going to stir up any controversy? Surely this is something that Milton Keynes could do without, isn't it?
No, to be honest, in some sense it's good to get the match out of the way. The press have been talking about the match for years and years and years now. It seems forever, and it'd be nice just to get it out of the way just for once and for all, so everyone's just back into a normal place.
Is there going to be any tension, John?
There's bound to be an atmosphere, I would think is the best way to call it, because obviously there has been a lot, you heard Simon use the word stealing, there's a lot of emotive words that come to Milton Keynes from the Wimbledon side of things, and obviously, that winds fans up. That's not the best language in the world to use, and the same thing as Simon said, the supporters down there of AFC Wimbledon obviously think that there is a problem with Milton Keynes existing.
He did use the word stealing, John. Do you dispute that then?
If there's a theft, there would be a court case and someone would go to prison. So, is this a theft? No, Simon, it was allowed by...
Simon, you're being emotive and you're using dangerous language. Simon?
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
No, we're not being emotive at all. Our football club was taken without our blessing. We didn't have a say in whether our football club was taken away from us. We protested about it. That's very high profile, and probably the most high profile football protest over a year that this country had ever seen. Us and the FSF up to 2007 were boycotting games involved in Milton Keynes. So I think it's very unfair that one of the profiteers of football franchising, John, is stating that we're being very emotive about it. We've made it very quite clear that we don't want to play this game. We've never wanted to play this game. That what they did is they took a league place, the first case of franchising the country, something that football supporters up and down the land are against. It's happened. Milton Keynes as a place lacked the ambition to form their own football club in the lower echelons of non-league football and move it up into the Football League, just like AFC Wimbledon have proved is possible. So no, I don't think it's fair to say that we're using emotive language. I mean, we're using language which we feel is fact.
John?
Well, from our point of view, obviously we all got together, signed an accord in 2007 to draw a line under this. If Simon continues and wants to carry on those lines, so be it. But,
Simon,
the idea...
Simon, can't we just have a good old kick around the week on the football pitch and everyone has a good game and shakes hands and walks away afterwards? Can't we do that, Simon?
Well, and in terms of the football club, AFC Wimbledon will be professional. We're going to play the football club. We'll send the players up. They'll kick the ball around. Then they'll shake everyone's hands or, shake the other players' hands, get on the bus and come back to Wimbledon. What we've been saying now, though, is actually, we've been saying it's time to move on. They have an emotive name in their name. They call themselves Milton Keynes Dons. If you look at a lot which is coming out in the local press, they seem to refer consistently to the name Dons and fail to mention the name Milton Keynes. The frenzy that Pete Winkleman has promised hasn't materialised, and what we've said is, why don't they drop the name Dons? Because it's got no connection at all to Milton Keynes, and why don't they have a name that makes them look like, feel like, a community football club based in Milton Keynes now?
John, Simon, sorry, very quickly, because your line's breaking up a little bit. Are some of your fans going to boycott this match?
There'll be a lot of fans that won't go.
Okay. There's not going to be... There won't be an argy-bargy, will there?
There won't be an official boycott, and I very much doubt there'll be an argy-bargy. Wimbledon fans protested for over a year in the most, as I mentioned, the most high-profile way, in an extremely sort of safe, organised manner, without any trouble whatsoever.
Very quickly, Simon, from AFC Wimbledon Independent Supporters Association, who's going to win?
To be honest, the game doesn't matter, because I feel... AFC Wimbledon as a football club, we've already won. We've shown the football world it's possible to start again. 9th division of football.
So you're going to lose? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying we're going to lose. I'm saying, it doesn't matter to us because we don't want the game to happen. We're not looking forward to the game. We're not excited about the game. This isn't a football rivalry. This isn't a game that you dream coming out in the FA Cup.
We've got to end it. John, who's going to win?
I think any football supporter would wish that their own team would win. I can understand where Simon's coming from, but from our point of view, we obviously want to win.
OK, listen, that was more exciting than I was expecting it to be. Thank you very much, chaps. Last voice you heard there was John Brockwell, chairs the MK Don Supporters Association. Before that, Simon Wheeler from the AFC Wimbledon Independent Supporters Association. Well, we sent our reporter, Gareth Lloyd, out to Milton Keynes to see how fans are feeling.
Right, so it's BBC Three Counties Radio. It's Gareth Lloyd on day one of reporting for the legend that is Iain Lee, and I've been sent to the Milton Keynes train station, the central train station, to find MK Dons fans, MK Don supporters, and ask them how excited they are, how well last night went, and how they're looking forward to the match against AFC Wimbledon. Right, let's see how I get on. Are you a MK Dons fan at all, either of you?
No, I'm not.
No, neither of you. Don't worry, thanks a lot. Are you a MK Dons fan at all? No props. Are you a MK Dons fan at all?
I've been to the stadium, but I'm not a fan.
No? Well, I don't support them. I don't even watch football.
Not really, no. Sorry. I'm sorry, I'm really not into football.
I'm not, I'm afraid.
No probs,
sorry.
Don't worry. No problem.
Nope.
Haven't got a clue.
Right, so it's not looking too good here. Still lots of people coming in. It's a busy train station. Plenty more people to ask. Got to find a fan somewhere. Are you an MK Dons fan? No. Thanks very much.
I'm not.
No. Morning. Are you an MK Dons fan at all?
No, I ain't. Written Wanderers, sorry.
Oh,
come on, the Blues.
Right, so no fans at all at the moment, but someone getting on a train this morning must be a fan of the MK Dons. Trying to find MK Dons fans this morning. I don't suppose you're a... No,
me, mate.
Thanks very much. No,
you're
not.
Sorry.
I don't suppose. No.
Chelsea fan, mate.
I'm not a fan of football at all.
No problem. Are you an MK Dons fan?
I'm not.
You're not. What about you, sir? Are you an MK Dons fan?
No.
You're not. Right, not a single fan here at the train station. That's Gareth Lloyd giving up, signing off. It's BBC Three Counties Radio, Iain Lee, and loving your work, Iain. You're a good guy. Hope you enjoyed what I've been able to get for you this morning.
Has he been drinking? I don't think Gareth tried hard enough. I don't think Gareth... What did he ask there? 45, 50 people? I don't think he tried hard enough in the slightest. Can we find some MK Dons fans? I don't know if it's all to be one-sided. And considering I know nothing about football, I did enjoy that little bit of banter there. Can we find some MK Dons fans this morning, please? 08459 455 555. Thank you, Gareth. A brighter triangle, cloud being nibbled. We've just had some psychedelic weather. Firefighters have been working around the clock since the weekend, trying to extinguish the massive blaze at the Wood Recycling Centre in St Albans. But how was this allowed to happen? Well, Herts County Council refused to speak to us about the impact the fire is having on their residents. That's right, your council won't come on and talk to you about how this happened and what they're doing to sort it out. I know, I can't believe it. They won't comment on claims they were warned in advance either about the way the company operated. If you want to let them know that you want to hear from them, then do. And we're going to keep trying to get them on, even though they're saying no. Well, let's see if Victoria Owen from the Environment Agency can shed some light. Good morning, Victoria.
Good morning.
This fire has caused havoc. Do we know how it started yet?
No, unfortunately we don't. That's something the fire service will have to investigate.
What's your involvement with the Wood Recycling Centre?
We regulate the site. The Environment Agency regulate the site. They have 2 permits there that are issued by us, and we regulate them. We go down there and inspect on a regular basis.
There have been claims that from residents that the company have broken the terms of those permits. Is that true?
That's correct.
How did they do that? In what ways?
They haven't complied with the conditions that are set within those permits.
What were the conditions, and how did they break them?
Well, there's quite a few, and I won't go into all of them now.
Give us a couple.
What they have is they have volume restrictions. And they actually went over these volume restrictions earlier on in the year. Unfortunately, I can't tell you by how much of waste was actually on site, due to the fact that this is an investigation and there is enforcement action, and I don't wish to prejudice any sort of enforcement action that we are or may take. But a suspension notice was served because the enforcement notice that we served in July wasn't complied with. So we suspended them in September, at the end of September, from them taking in any more waste onto site, so that they can just remove waste from site.
So you knew in July that it was breaking the rules and it was operating dangerously?
That's correct. And we tried to bring them back into compliance by serving this enforcement notice. They didn't come into compliance, so we have now suspended their permit.
So, it all seems a little bit too little too late, doesn't it? Because there's a massive fire going on that's going to take months to put out.
Well, we've actually, the Environment Agency have received only 13 complaints since last January. So January 2011, we've received 13 complaints. We do have an incident number that people can call 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year.
To report what?
They can report anything that they aren't happy with regards
but that's
to
not up to members. That's not up to members of the public. That's up to you, isn't it?
Well, we can't be everywhere all the time, so the public are our eyes and ears.
But the public don't know necessarily exactly what's going in there and what's a breach of the permit or not, do they? It's not fair to put the responsibility on the public.
Oh, it's not a responsibility. It's anything that they are unsure about, anything they're unhappy with these kind of sites, they can phone us on our number, which I'm happy to give you now.
But you had 13 complaints. Did you act on those?
Yes, we do. We take everyone seriously.
Did you go and look at the site once you received those complaints?
We might not go out immediately on those complaints, but we certainly visit this site on a very regular basis.
So what you're saying is you had 13 complaints and you didn't do anything apart from file them?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
Well, what did you do with those complaints?
We will investigate each one on its individual basis.
But you didn't go to the site?
These 13 complaints that we've had have mainly been about dust.
Okay, but you didn't go to the site?
Yes, no, we regularly visit
You didn't
the
go
site.
to the site on the basis of those complaints?
We may have done on some.
Did you?
And not me personally.
Well, did someone from the Environment Agency, did someone from the Environment Agency, when they received those complaints, go and look at the site?
I can't say that they went on, within...
It's a no?
It's not a no.
Is it a yes? It's a no or a yes? When you received any of those 13 complaints, did someone from the Environment Agency get a complaint and go, right, I'm going to go and have a look at this site with my own eyes?
I would imagine they did, yes.
You would imagine they did? OK. They breached their licence in 2001, didn't they, when a fire broke out there before?
That's correct.
How closely were you monitoring them after that?
Well, it was a different permit holder back then.
Right.
It was a different company. But we have closely monitored this site over a very long period of time.
It would appear, not that closely though, that this fire is taking place. There are people in the area who haven't got water, who've got kids and have to go and have a shower with their neighbours half a mile up the road. Roads are blocked. There's travel chaos. All it's going to take is for one gust of wind for the M1 to be closed down because of the smoke. It does seem a little bit of a farce, doesn't it?
I can't say that it's a farce. I mean, we've certainly been out to the site very regularly. Whenever we get complaints of if there is fire there, when the fire service ring us and tell us that they've had a report of a fire, we will attend the site. We ensure that the site are putting the fire out. So the Environment Agency do take their responsibilities very seriously.
But yet, just finally, when people send in complaints to you, you don't necessarily go and look at the site to respond to those complaints?
We do.
So you definitely did. When you got those 13 complaints, with each complaint you went and looked at the site?
We also are relying on third parties to give us
this is where the problem is. You shouldn't be. You should be going and having a look, shouldn't you?
No, we do go out and visit the site.
How many times have you been to look this year?
This year we've probably been, I couldn't say exactly how many times we've been, but I know that we go at least once a month to this site, if not more.
Okay, and yet this fire has still happened?
It's, as we say, we can't say how it started. So, and this is something for the fire service to investigate.
Okay, but no, I wasn't asking how it started. I'm just saying that even though you go once a month, maybe more, this fire has still somehow happened. So it would imply that there are flaws in your system, wouldn't it?
Well, we have served an enforcement notice to make the site bring down the levels of wood that they had on site.
Well, boy, oh boy, they're bringing it down, Victoria. Thank you very much, Victoria Owen from the Environment Agency. We've had a spokesman from Affinity Water has given us a statement. It's very long, but I'll just briefly read some of it. We're assisting the fire and rescue service fighting the fire at the recycling centre in Beech Tree Lane. A pallet of bottled water was delivered to Hemel Hempstead Road at 3 p.m. yesterday and is being distributed. We'd like to apologise for the inconvenience. Just let you know, the council, Herts County Council, won't come on, and neither will the company that own that site. Right, Nadine Dorries faced her second Bush-Tucker trial last night on I'm a Celebrity. Paul Scoins, political reporter. We've not got much time, Paul, I'm afraid.
OK.
I do apologise, you're sounding grumpy as well.
Well, I'm not grumpy. You say I'm sad, then you say I'm grumpy. Honestly.
It's done with affection.
You'll be asking me to step aside next.
You're so lucky you're not in the studio because you should have seen what we had lined up for you to eat. I'll have to eat them now. What happened on the show last night?
Well, it was the infamous eating challenge on the programme, and Nadine Dorries was up against Helen Flanagan, who's in Coronation Street, and they were put before them a series of pretty nasty food stuffs. A bait spider was the first, then a camel's toe, I think a rotten ostrich egg, I think, was then given.
See,
a fermented duck egg.
The egg sounds like the best thing out of it. I'd rather eat that than a camel's toe.
Well, it did look very black and sort of greasy.
No one wants a black, greasy egg.
Nice.
No.
And that was Nadine's downfall, actually. She would have had a clean sweep of 5 foodstuffs had she eaten that, but she didn't. However, she did win the task because her fellow competitor wasn't able to eat. I think she only ate 3, so that means that she lost. So yes, Nadine did quite well. I thought she was quite brave.
I think I'm softening to her, Paul. I think her cunning mind plan is working, and I'm softening for her. Are you?
I think I am slightly. Do you know what? I mean, I've never had an opinion on Nadine Dorries.
Of course not. We're impartial here at the BBC.
But, she can come across as quite forthright, and that can be slightly sort of, you can get an impression about somebody from that. But I do think she is playing this sort of game very well. She sort of seems to be the sort of camp leader in some ways. She certainly does, feel like she's organising things. She has had a bit of a contretemps with one of her fellow competitors, Hugo, and I think it's slightly playing up on the sort of posh boy sort of thing as well. He's sort of went to boarding school and is in Made in Chelsea, is quite sort of well-spoken, and of course she's got her famous sort of history with the Chancellor and the Prime Minister.
Paul, we have to end it there because we're out of time. Thank you very much. Apologies. Of course he's not grumpy, he's one of the most... In many ways, Paul is our camp leader, but for different reasons. Thank you, Paul. Political reporter, and I'm a celebrity watcher. A little bit later than usual, here's the news with Catherine.
The MP for Mid Bedfordshire seems to have bitten off more than she can chew. Nadine Dorries has been forced to face another challenge on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, swallowing the private parts of various animals to win points for her team. But the backbencher does have some standards. She drew the line at fermented duck egg. Former Liberal Democrat MP Lembit Opik, himself a previous contestant on the programme and Iain Lee's favourite Come Dine With Me guest, says she's a jolly good sport.
I completely agree with Nadine's decision. Why? Because it's authentic. And I think that one of the great complaints that people have about politics is they're all grey, you can't connect with them, that the public don't really deal with politicians in a real way. She's coming across in the environment of an entertainment programme which millions of people watch.
Thanks, Catherine.
A composition by Blur's Damon Albarn will be played
Don't just move on from that.
I know you miss him terribly.
You've played a clip of my nemesis, Lembit Opik, who, yes, he was... They re-showed my episode of Come Dine With Me yesterday.
Did they?
Apparently so, yes. I watch it every time it's on, which is about once a week, and it brought back the horror of that week flooding back. Please continue with the news. Thank you.
Still, didn't he beat you?
Get on with it.
A composition by Blur's Damon Albarn will be played to mark 90 years of the BBC later. In cricket, Hertfordshire fast bowler Stephen Finn will definitely miss England's first test against India tomorrow. Watford-born Finn hasn't recovered from a strained thigh. The weather a dull start, but getting brighter later.
Ooh, a strained thigh. Wow. Sorry, I do apologise. You're doing the news. Carry on. Sorry. You just said it with like a little whoa in your voice. Oh, strained thigh.
I can't help the word. It's just the way I talk.
Carry on.
11 degrees Celsius the high. That's 52 degrees Fahrenheit. There's more news and sport without interruption, hopefully. Online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
It's the longest bulletin ever. Oh, with the first for news,
BBC
yes.
3 Counties Radio, first for news.
Well done. There we go. I do apologise. Sorry. It's like the last day of term here. It's because Jonathan Vernon-Smith isn't in the building. We're all rejoicing. We've all come in mufti. It's his birthday. He's out and about. He's got a very special show planned. I won't say anything. He'll tell us in about 10-15 minutes. Very special show plan, which I'm looking forward to hearing. You could go and meet him. You could touch Jonathan Vernon-Smith. That could actually happen. Dreams can come true. OK, back to this. In the next hour of the show, former Luton South MP Margaret Moran did fiddle her expenses. We speak to Esther Ranson, who stood for her seat. Junk mail is set to make up an even greater share of the average postbag. When did you last send a letter, a proper letter? And Milton Keynes Dons are to play AFC Wimbledon. If you've been listening to the show, it's a bit tense, isn't it? Will you be going to the game? Lots of ways you can get in touch. Facebook.com/BBC3CR. You can text us 81333. Start your text 3CR. The best way, and let's be honest, my preferred way of you getting in touch, give us a call. 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, back to more serious matters. The Taxpayers Alliance say they feel like justice hasn't been done after former Luton South MP Margaret Moran was found to have fiddled her expenses to the tune of £53,000. According to the House of Commons in 2009, she repaid £6,000 in relation to claims on her second home in Southampton and 65 quid back for office cleaning. Following the ruling yesterday, the Crown Prosecution Service say they will look to see if any action might be taken in the recovery of funds. She can't be sent to jail like other MPs who've been convicted of fraudulently claiming expenses, as she wasn't mentally fit enough to stand trial. Our reporter Tony Fisher looks back on her time in politics.
She was one of the original Blair babes, selected in 1997 from an all-women shortlist, a practice itself eventually ruled unlawful. But despite Margaret Moran's fall from grace, there are those in Luton who remain loyal. When Declan Duggan's son was killed in a car crash, he fought to change drink-drive laws so that an unconscious driver could be tested for alcohol.
Margaret set me up with all the meetings with various different ministers at different times. Margaret was instrumental in getting me to meet all the civil servants who drew up policy documents. What she did was open up so many doors for someone like me. You know, that's something that you just can't forget. And, as a constituency MP, she was absolutely first class.
Her ability to open doors increased after her re-election. Now a whip, she used her position to fight for the town at its moments of crisis, like when Vauxhall was threatened with closure.
They just decided that Luton was a dot on the map as far as they were concerned, and it was going to be closed. Well, that isn't good enough.
She championed victims of domestic violence and particularly forced marriage, but her support for the Iraq War lost her friends in the Muslim part of town and saw her majority reduced in the 2003 election. Then, in 2004, it was revealed she had spent more in expenses than any other MP still sitting, £168,000. Just a hint of the scandal to come. Richard Stay is the Deputy Leader of Central Bedfordshire Council.
Margaret Moran is a disgrace, not only to her party, to the people she represented. I've been one of her constituents since 1997 when she was first elected to Luton South. I think in 2005, when I stood against her as the Conservative candidate, we knew something was wrong then. The level of expenses that were being put through her parliamentary expenses account. But what came out later, further down the road, I think certainly shocked me.
Margaret Moran spent the whole of her last year in office away from her constituency, claiming ill health. Conspicuous by her absence, there was a new face on the block. TV presenter Esther Ranson fought for her seat in the 2010 election.
It's time for independents to stand against these entrenched MPs, because maybe we have different standards.
The years and the scandal have taken its toll on the former Luton South MP. At one of her last public appearances before Westminster magistrates, she looked practically unrecognisable, physically crushed and hunched and sobbing continuously. Deserted by her influential friends, she left a sorry figure.
Well, Esther Ranson joins me now. Morning, Esther.
Good morning.
What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I was interested to hear praise for her because when I was spending quite a lot of time, as you know, in Luton, I didn't hear anybody speaking well of her. In fact, people who had tried to contact her, rung her, sent letters or emails, asked for interviews, told me that they never got a reply, that when she was invited to function, she didn't turn up. When she wasn't invited, she did turn up. So I got a picture of a very odd behaviour. And in a way, I'm not surprised that she has now been deemed mentally unfit to stand trial, because she was so odd that it did occur to me to wonder whether she was suffering from some sort of mental health problem.
You thought there could have been problems before? You recognise that there may have been some kind of mental deficiency when she was an MP?
Well, I didn't think anybody could be quite so unpredictable and odd without there being an underlying problem. And what really concerned me was that when the Telegraph revealed her expenses, particularly the £23,000 she spent on a Southampton house, not in Luton, not in Westminster, in Southampton, I couldn't understand why her local constituency party instantly sprang to her defence. And it occurred to me to wonder why they hadn't reined her in, why they hadn't found a way of disciplining her or persuading her that maybe she should give up if she couldn't do the job.
A lot of people that I've spoken to yesterday feel cheated that she won't be going to jail or facing any kind of the criminal charges like that. What do you think should have happened?
Well, I think the truth should have been exposed, which it has been. I mean, £53,000 is absolutely appalling, and the sorts of things she did, the fake receipts, the work that was never done and so on. I mean, that is no doubt, that's theft, that's a crime, and I absolutely understand why people feel that the crime should be punished. But my problem is that when I saw her in that clip you described, where she looked like a bundle of old washing in floods of tears, she just wasn't recognisably the Margaret Moran that I remember, with her saucy orange hat and her bright smile. And so it does occur to me to wonder if she really is suffering from a serious mental breakdown. Of course, I mean, there have been people who've said that, and in fact, you know, been let out of jail because they've been found to be suffering from Alzheimer's, and then have had a miraculous recovery.
They've been on Strictly Come Dancing, the next one. I'm exaggerating slightly, but yes, they do seem to suddenly get well. You think that this could actually be more entrenched and she's actually very seriously ill?
Well, it does follow this odd pattern. I mean, you know, she just wasn't behaving like an MP, even a bad MP. People in Luton were telling me, and that's such a different picture from the one your interviewee described, of, you know, the gentleman who said that she had actually worked quite hard on his behalf. So I do wonder if something was going wrong. But, of course, that doesn't explain or excuse stealing money from the public purse, which is what she clearly did.
Do people trust MPs anymore? It kind of felt like we were just starting to get our trust back with them after the scandal of last year, a couple of years ago, and then this kind of comes up again, and it's knocked it back a bit, perhaps.
Certainly, I think Margaret Moran did more damage to the image of MPs in this country than any other single person, much more, I think, than things like the Duck House and the Moat, because this was a People's MP, a left-wing MP, an MP who claimed to stand up for women and for ordinary people, who was milking the expense system for all it was worth, and that was very disillusioning indeed. But I'm more disillusioned by the fact that her party did nothing to expose or restrain her, that she was not deselected until, actually, if you'll pardon me saying so, I came on the scene and said, you know, enough, no more, and then And then she was. But, you know, how could the party put up with her? Why is there no machinery for a constituency like Luton to say we don't want you anymore? And there still isn't.
Speaking of MPs who are perhaps letting the side down a bit, what do you think of Nadine Dorries in the jungle?
Yes, well, there you are.
You sound like my mum then. Yes, well, there you are.
Well, you see, when I was in Luton, she was in mid-Bedfordshire, and she lost no opportunity to criticise me. So you would expect me to say that I don't think she's doing a very good job. I can see why her voters and her party are pretty fed up with her. I suppose she's a bit of a stranger to self-doubt, isn't she, as Nadine? And I suppose she thought she'd go in there, win, and become the toast of the nation. In those opening titles, when you see her in a red dress winking a la Anne Robinson, you do realise that she thinks she's already winning our hearts and minds. I think there may be a sorry disillusion for her ahead of her.
Esther Ranson, always lovely to talk to you. Thank you very much for coming on. And Jonathan is preparing a very, very special show today. I'm disappointed simply because normally at this time of the show, Jonathan would come in and he'd say something incredibly vulgar and slanderous about a member of the team or a politician or a celebrity just before we go on air. He's not. Jonathan, you're not in the studio today. What on earth is going on?
I'm in Shefford. That's where I am.
Oh, you sound like you're chomping on against us. Are you eating, man? What's going on?
No, I've just had a nice cup of coffee.
Good for you.
And I'm ready for action at 9 o'clock.
I'm disappointed because it's your birthday and I did promise you a lovely birthday wrestle. And yet you seem to have strayed away from me.
Yes, I know, but I'm here, and somebody told me that you might have given me my present here. No one's giving me anything.
Is there not Gareth there, or somebody, a member of the team?
Oh.
You should be getting... There are 2 presents for you from me.
Here's one.
Bought by myself. Open the small one first.
Is this Christmas wrapping paper?
It may be. That's how much I love you.
Hang on a minute. This is very kind of you, honestly.
Very exciting.
Now, what is this?
Have a look. Tell the listener. And you can thank
my
me.
word.
Look at that.
You've given me...
Yes?
You've given me my own electronic gun.
We had so much fun shooting, and I couldn't buy you a real gun because they're really expensive, and that was only £1 in the Poundland, and so you can practice shooting at home.
That's very kind of you. I'm gonna be shooting everyone in Shefford.
Look at the back of it, though. I've written a little birthday message on the back of that in silver pen.
To JVS, happy birthday from Iain.
There we go. Happy birthday.
My word. With this, you're really spoiling me.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm not, because I know you think that's good. That's the jokey present. Here comes present number 2. This is the real present. This wasn't from Poundland. This cost me, I'm going to say it, £6.99.
Yeah, from Bargain House in George Street, Luton.
It's a good shop, Bargain House. I like it.
I know that because you've left the receipt in there.
In case you might have it already, so you can take it back.
Oh, right, hang on a minute.
It feels
like big.
This is good, this is good. This is lovely, this is art.
Oh, my God.
Sorry?
Oh, no.
Not what I was expecting to hear. Describe it to the boys and girls.
Oh, my good Lord. It's like... It's like a painting... with a hologram inside, and if you hold it one way, you've got 2 dogs, and if you hold it the other way, you've got a cat. But what I love in particular is the fact that if you hold it at a certain angle, you can also see a label on the back of it that says "Made in China."
Those Chinese are excellent at making those hologram pictures. Well, you like cats, don't you?
Yes, and normally.
You like... How rude! And you've seen dogs before? So now
I have to be honest, this is my local Indian takeaway. I've got a very similar picture on their wall of a waterfall that moves. This is quite the most revolting thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, no! Now that's not fair. That cost me $6.99. That's more than I spent on my mum's birthday present.
Yeah, but the good news is I've still got the receipt.
Well, you can take it back to that shop, Jonathan, if you don't like it, and you can get something for equal value.
No, listen, I want to say that's very, very sweet of you, and I'm so touched that you gave me such gorgeous birthday presents.
When I come, I've got one of those guns as well, so we can play. And then when I come to your house, and I'm sure you're going to invite me soon, I want to see that picture hanging up, and not in the toilet, in an important room, the bedroom or the living room.
Yeah.
What's happening on the show this morning, Jonathan?
Well, I am here in Shefford.
So rude. I'm going to turn my mic off. He's so rude. Let me just turn it.
What's he doing?
Go on, you carry on. I'm just talking to my team off there. He's so...
Oh, what are you saying?
Nothing. I'm turning my microphone down. I'm very disappointed. Tell us what's happening on your show at 9 o'clock.
OK. Well, listen,
He's wearing
we
a
all
suit and
know
everything.
that the Conservative MP for Mid-Bedfordshire, she's not here in her constituency fighting for the needs of her constituents. She's in the jungle. And if you saw her last night, she was eating orangutan's anus or something like that. Quite disgusting. The fact is, she's not here, but I am this morning. From 9 o'clock, I'll be doing the JVS show live from Shefford. This is the home of her constituency office. If you are one of her constituents, if you're having a constituency problem that normally you would take to your MP, but you can't because she's in Australia, today I want you to come to Shefford and I want you to tell me your problem. I can't guarantee that I'll be able to help with everything, but I'm here, I'm listening, and if I can help, I will. Also, on this morning's big phone-in, on the subject of Nadine, I'm asking, is Nadine Dorries a good sport or a bad MP? Did you see her last night, Ian? Where's he gone?
Sorry, you talking... What?
Did you see Nadine Dorries last night?
It doesn't matter. Could you please hurry up? Seriously, it's 8:22. You're eating into my show, man. I know you're out. I know you're wearing a suit and you've got a hat with corks on, but just get on with it. No, I didn't see it.
Well, most of that time was taken up opening your presents.
Presents! I know, exactly. I've done a good... Listen, I've got a guest who wants to talk about young people not being able to find work. Hurry up!
Right, look, from 9, call me. Is Nadine Dorries a good sport or a bad MP? 08459 455...
Call 08459 455 555.
08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I'm sorry, Johnny. This is going on for too long. If you want... He has dressed up smart. If you want to see what he's wearing, then go to facebook.com/BBC3CR and you can have a look. He's dressed up very, very smart. It does look good. Now, on to more serious issues for the moment. If your son or daughter is struggling to get an interview, let alone a job, then they are not alone. According to a study out today, most of them are applying for 17 positions before being offered an interview. Well, employment statistics show that many job seekers blame the schooling system, while half admit they could do more personally to get a job. Sarah Bigg is from the Central Youth Volunteering Project in Bedfordshire, and she joins me now. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning.
You help prepare young people for the world of work. How do you do that? What do you do with them?
We find various different volunteering opportunities for young people to give them work experience and to help prepare them for when they are looking for work.
What kind of volunteering roles do you find for them?
There's everything. There's something for all types of people. We've got sports with children, with the elderly, animals at various local events. It's a real mixture. I'm
a big fan of volunteering, and up until I took this job, I volunteered at Great Ormond Street for a couple of years. I love it. But for those who don't know, what kind of skills can people get that might be useful in finding a job?
Again, it's a real mixture, and depending on what you're doing, it's great for your communication skills. A lot of young people come out from school, and other than their peer group and parents and teachers, they've never really communicated with adults. So when they go into a workplace or an interview, they've no real experience. So working with organisations and doing volunteering, it's a great way to start talking to and finding out how you conduct yourself in different environments.
When I was at school, it was always told to me, I didn't really listen to it until much later on, that having volunteering work on your CV, it looks pretty good. Is that still the case now? Do employers look for that kind of stuff?
Absolutely, even more so now, because lots of young people, they're all coming away from school, they've got their GCSEs or their other qualifications, and if 90-odd people are applying for a job and they've all got the same qualifications, you need something on your CV or your application to make you stand out from the rest of them. Volunteering is perfect for that, because it's shown that you've been active with your time and that you really want to find a job and you want to do something with your life.
And also, but people say, it's so good of you to do volunteering and give you it's not completely selfless, is it? Because you do get a lot personally from doing it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, volunteering is great because it's helping the community, it's helping people that need it. These days, organisations and charities are even more so relying heavily on volunteers, but for any age, particularly young people at the moment, there are so many benefits. It's a great way to meet new people. It's something to go on your applications, on UCAS applications, brilliant work experience, and you can just develop so much personally from it, confidence, self-esteem. It's the benefits are endless, really.
And Sarah, have your young volunteers gone on to find full-time work?
My project is for young people 13 to 18, so lots of them are just applying for part-time jobs, maybe at the weekend or a couple of hours after school. But the feedback is that having volunteering, having something to talk about when they go to an interview, even if it is just for part-time work, is helping them. And hopefully when they leave school or they go on to college and then look for full-time work, they'll have the experience and it will help them then.
Excellent stuff. Thank you very much. Sarah Bigg from the Central Youth Volunteering Project in Bedfordshire. And if you want to find out more about volunteering in Bedford and Luton, visit voluntaryworks.org.uk. Talking earlier on about the football match that's causing controversy between AFC Wimbledon and MK Dons. Phil says, I feel sorry for the Wimbledon fans. Imagine that your local social club, one with a long history that had its roots through your society, was being taken away to try and make more money elsewhere. And why does MK persist on still using the name Dons? How about suggestions for a better name? I'll start it off with the MK Suburbanites. Phil. Ben in Buckingham says, I'm a huge MK Dons fan as I have a cap and rain jacket with the club's logo I wear every day. I can't wait for the Wimbledon match to shut those whiners up. And Steve says, if you find an MK Dons fan, ask them who they really support, i.e. the club they adored as a child. I'm surprised, because when this was mentioned yesterday, there's innocent old naive me, doesn't know anything about football, going, yeah, OK, we'll do it. I don't really understand the history. But there's a lot of passion and a lot of anger about this. Very quickly, just to let you know, Jonathan is out and about this morning from 9 o'clock. It's going to be a completely different show, and I think it's going to be well worth a listen. It's going to be brilliant. He is out. He's in Shefford, in the High Street, just by the War Memorial. You know where that is? He's going to be there between 9 and 12. Go over to him. Go and say hello. He's a nice man, really. Go and shake his hand. Go and look at the birthday presents I got him and tell him he's very ungrateful. If you've got a problem that you would have taken to your MP, Nadine Dorries, go and take it to Jonathan, and he'll have a darn good crack at trying to sort it out for you. You can get in touch as well, jvsshow@bbc.co.uk. It's going to be a cracking listen today. He's got all the team wearing T-shirts as well. I know. I want to get my team to wear T-shirts. That's what I want. I'll make it happen. Don't worry, I'll make it happen.
Across beds, hearts and bucks, this is Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio.
And for those of you panicking, do not panic. We are doing our best to try and get a photograph of the presents that I gave to Jonathan Vernon-Smith earlier on in the show, and we will put those on the various and relevant social networking sites, so don't panic. Coming up in the last half an hour of the show, if you're travelling to Europe today, you're being warned to expect disruption due to strikes taking place in all the usual places. Find out how Luton Airport is affected, and Royal Mail wants to have more junk mail. How much do you get through your letterbox every day? If your post has come this morning, could you do me a favour? Go and have a look and count how much junk mail you've got. Pizzas, taxis, charities, all of those things. Sky, Virgin, all of that. Go and count and give us a call. 08459 455 555 and let us know. Now, Luton Airport passengers are being warned that European strike action could lead to flight disruption today. People planning trips to Spain, Greece, Portugal and Italy are advised to check with their airlines. A number of airlines have already cancelled flights due to the planned walkouts over austerity measures. Spain has been one of the countries particularly badly affected by the Eurozone crisis, and our Europe reporter, Duncan Crawford, joins us this morning from Barcelona. Morning, Duncan.
Good morning.
Where are you? It's very noisy.
I'm in Plaça de Catalonia, which is one of the central squares in Barcelona, where you can hear the noise already. That is union workers beeping horns. They've also been setting off what sounds like fireworks here. There's probably a few hundred at the moment, but we're expecting tens of thousands on the streets later on today, all of them protesting against the austerity measures which the government has brought in, the tax rises and spending cuts, which they say is destroying the Spanish economy. Already a quarter of adults are out of work here. There's 50% youth unemployment, and now I'm told 1 in 10 of Spanish households, both parents, are out of work. So they want the government to focus on growth measures to try and get more people into jobs. The people I've been speaking to telling me they're very unhappy about the way the country's going at the moment.
It sounds... What time is it there? 10:30?
Yeah, roughly, yes.
So it sounds chaotic already. How much disruption is there expected to be there today?
Well, a lot of disruption because civil servants, hospital workers, teachers, taxi drivers, metro staff, train drivers, bus drivers, you name it, they're all going on strike today. At least large numbers of them are, particularly in terms of the airports. There's going to be widespread disruption. We know that already hundreds of flights have been cancelled across Europe. Many more have been delayed as well. So if you are flying in or out of Barcelona today, or out of Madrid or elsewhere in Spain or Portugal, Greece or Italy for that matter, do check with your airline whether or not your flight will be running or not. Go to the website, you'll have the latest information, and if your flight has been cancelled, then in almost all cases you will be able to rebook for free.
Will it make any difference, this protest, Duncan?
Certainly speaking to people here, the majority probably honestly don't think it will. The government here have embarked on a direction which is austerity measures to get the very high debt and deficit down. But having said that, in the last week it's been quite interesting in Spain because hundreds of thousands of people have been evicted for not paying their mortgages from their homes over the last few years. On Friday, a woman who was being evicted from her home jumped from the fourth floor window and killed herself. It's created a national outrage here because there have been some other similar cases, and now the banks have said that they will not force people out of their homes if they are the most vulnerable members of society. So there has been a change in policy there after a national outrage. So the hope is from demonstrators that if hundreds of thousands or even millions take to the streets today, not only here in Spain but also in Portugal and Greece and elsewhere, then that will force policymakers to change course.
Duncan Crawford reporting from Barcelona, a noisy Barcelona. Thank you very much. They do know how to protest on the continent, don't they? They do it. Everyone does it, and they do, whether you agree with it or not is almost irrelevant. But they do it, and they make a noise, and they make a fuss, and they get attention. Over here, it's like, no, don't change anything. In Europe, in Greece, in Spain, in Italy, they go and they make a big noise and really kick up a stink.
Across beds, hearts and bucks, this is Iain Lee on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hey, here's some exciting news. Well, Saturday, between 6 and 9, who's doing the breakfast show? It's Paul Ross, who I got involved with in some Twitter banter yesterday. Twitter was very odd. I woke up, I had a little doze in the afternoon. I had a very, very uncomfortable dream. Woke up and immediately went to Twitter. The thing I've learnt is, don't go to Twitter when you've had a bad dream and you're a little bit foggy of the head, because you get involved in all kinds of nonsense. I was arguing with people, and Paul Ross popped up to say hello. He's going to be doing the breakfast show on Saturday. There'll be a reaction to the result of the police commissioner elections. A local sporting hero will pick 3 of their favourite music tracks. There'll be a review of Saturday's papers with the author of Make Wealth History blog, Jeremy Williams, and there'll be top tunes to get your weekend going. Paul Ross, Saturday from 6 on BBC 3CR. And no doubt he'll be telling some interesting showbiz stories, as he always does. He's a cracking listen, Paul Ross, and I thoroughly recommend it. Meanwhile, there's 22 minutes of the show here. If you want to give us a call, 08459 455 555. And all morning, we've been talking about junk mail. This is because Royal Mail want to post more rubbish through your letterbox to help turn a profit. Little junk mail fact for you here. It makes up nearly half of all the letters you get through the post. I dispute that. I'd say I get more junk than I do letters. If you've had your post this morning, could you just go and count how many pieces of junk you've had? You can just text in how many pieces of junk you've got in the mail this morning, 81333. Starting your text 3CR. But if it meant that it was cheaper for you to post your letters, would you mind getting a bit more junk? Ian Senior is from King's Langley. He's an economist who specialises in the postal industry. Ian, is this a good idea?
Well, yes, from the point of view of Royal Mail, it certainly is a good idea. They're faced with a market which is declining by something like 6 or 7% in volume terms every year for real letters, because they're getting more expensive and because people much prefer to send emails. So they still find there is demand from advertisers for what people call junk mail. And there are really 2 forms of junk mail. There's addressed junk mail, which says Mr. Senior on the envelope, and inside it may even say Dear Mr. Senior, so that's a personalised form of junk mail. And then there's the total junk mail, which is simply a flyer, some of it not in an envelope at all, and that's just pure junk. Now, so long as advertisers find they get some sort of return on their junk mail sent via Royal Mail, and so long as Royal Mail finds that it can make some sort of profit on delivering the stuff, then okay, that will go on. But
Royal Mail benefit, Ian, but do we benefit? Do the public get any benefit out of it?
Well, on an individual basis, yes, a few do, because suddenly something comes through the post and they think, my goodness me, I've never thought of having double glazing in my house before, and here's a special offer. So once in a while, maybe one piece of junk mail in 20 or 30 may have some resonance with people who receive it, but the great majority does, I'm afraid, go straight into the bin.
Well, I was going to say, I don't even look at it anymore. What are we supposed to do with all this junk mail, Ian?
Well, I like you, I'm quite sure I put it into my recycling bin, so I just don't use the contents at all. But just one thing I would add, and that is that the charities are still great senders of unaddressed or addressed mail even, and I think most of us would like to feel that if the charities get some return for it and more people give to charities, then that has to be all right. So there is something of an exception, but most junk mail is from your local Indian restaurant or from your local double glazing company.
We've had listeners to this programme today, and this never occurred to me. They've got arthritis. It hurts them to bend down and pick up all this rubbish. Is there any way that they can stop it being delivered?
You can try putting no junk mail on your door if you want to, but I'm afraid Royal Mail isn't going to do a kind of selection process on your doorstep. So I don't think that's going to work. Only if there's a sufficient voice from the general public to Royal Mail saying, look, we don't want junk mail, it's a waste of time, and so if our front door says no junk mail, please just don't send it. When that starts happening, then the advertisers will realise maybe that they shouldn't be sending junk mail because they're not getting a return.
Ian, we've been asking our listeners this morning, and I'm going to ask you the same question. When was the last time, sir, that you sent a letter that wasn't sending a cheque in the post, that wasn't anything like that, that was a proper letter to a human being?
I think I probably send about 3 or 4 a week, but that's probably more than a lot of people.
Yeah, wow, that's fantastic. And these are to proper people, are they?
Yes, indeed they are, because there are some firms, I mean, for example, solicitors, you have to send them a piece of paper with a proper signature on, for example, and then I send the occasional cheque through the post still, which of course you've mentioned. But you're right in saying that people who have personal computers at home, and we all do, or tablets or mobiles, will use texting or will use emails every time if they possibly can, and the proper letter is now the last resort.
Ian Senior, from King's Langley, an economist, thank you very much indeed.
Call 08459 455 555.
08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I like letters. I do like letters, and I make sure that my kids, even though they're too young to do it, always say the thank you note. The thank you note or the thank you card, very, very important. My little niece and nephew, Dylan and Pepper, they do it. They've been always brought up to send a thank you card. What's weird, and I've had this in the past, I've sent a thank you card for something, and then that person has sent a thank you card for the thank you card. Whoa, when does that stop? How far does that keep going on? That chain of events. Always send a thank you card, and it's nice. And also, I send kind of, not necessarily letters, but bits and pieces through the post to my niece and nephew, because they're 7 and 5, I think. 7 and 5. And they love getting letters and packages and bits and pieces through the post. There's nothing more exciting, is there, than getting a package through the post when you're a kid. It makes you feel all grown up and all special and all wonderful. I do want to know if you've had your post this morning, and let's be honest, the post comes later and later these days. I remember you used to get the first post was at 6:30, second post was at 2 in the afternoon. Do you remember that? Now my post comes, it's about midday. But if you've had your post this morning, just quickly count how many bits of junk mail you've had, and then send us a text, 81333. Very excited, just been told that the team is about to put on the Facebook page a picture of Jonathan Vernon Smith with the birthday presents I bought him. Can't wait to have a look at that. I'll have a little look while we play this. Bear with me a second. Facebook.com/BBC3C. Let's have a look at... Oh. That's Jonathan holding my presents. Well, that's just rude, isn't it, to be honest? He could have made an effort. He won't be getting anything for Christmas. Now, elections take place to find our new police and crime commissioners tomorrow. You might have already voted because many people have elected for postal votes, or you might be going to the voting booth tomorrow. When you get there, you'll find the way you cast your vote is a little bit different to a normal election. It's the supplementary vote. Here's BBC Three Counties political reporter Paul Scoins with a handy guide.
When you walk into the ballot box tomorrow, you'll notice there are 2 columns on the ballot paper. One for you to make your first choice, and one for your second choice. If you're from Watford or Bedford and you voted for your mayor in the past, you'll have already used this system. Voters mark one X in each column, although you don't have to make a second choice if you don't want to. All the first choices are then counted, and if a candidate has over 50%, they're elected, contest over. However, if no candidate has a majority, the top 2 candidates continue to a second round, and all other candidates are eliminated. Then the second choice votes of everyone whose first choice has been eliminated are then counted. Any votes for the remaining candidates are then added to their first round totals. Whoever has the most votes after these second preference votes have been allocated is the winner. This does mean that even if you win the first round, there's no guarantee you'll win the election if the majority of people have put someone else as their second choice candidate.
Thank you, Paul, for explaining that. Katie Ghosh is chief executive at the Electoral Reform Society. Morning, Katie.
Good morning.
It sounds a bit complicated to me. You vote twice.
Well, you have 2 choices, so should be quite straightforward, as your reporter explained. So there are 2 columns, one for your first choice and another for your second choice. So that's all there is to it, really. It is the system that's used to elect the Mayor of London and mayors across the UK. And I guess one of the things for people to understand that you get 2 preferences. If your first choice isn't elected, there's still a chance for you to have your say over who the police commissioner.
What if you don't like anyone else? You only like one person?
That's absolutely fine.
You can just put one little cross?
You can just put one in the first column, one cross in the first column.
Okay.
That's absolutely fine.
Are you happy with the way this election's been conducted?
Not at all. We think the elections are shaping up to be a complete shambles from start to finish. We think it's been one blunder after another. The biggest problem has been the lack of information. What people are telling us is they don't know what or who they are voting for. I think one of the biggest mistakes the government made was to fail to give us the information in the post about who the candidates are. People are saying we simply want to know who we are voting for. You know, what's the difference between them? They've put that information online, which is no good at all for the 7 million people in this country who don't have regular access to the internet. And we think the other catastrophic mistake has been to hold the elections in the depths of winter. In most parts of the country, this is the only election happening, and we think that as a result of those mistakes, we could be seeing turnout fall to be the lowest in British election history.
It does annoy me with things like this when they put everything online. They go and look online. I haven't got a computer. I'll go to the library. It's not as easy as that for a lot of people, is it?
It's not, no. It really leaves people in the dark. And it's sad, actually, because people are saying, you know, I am interested. I mean, who among us isn't interested in how crime is tackled and how the streets are policed? That's something we all care about. But people are rightly saying, look, if I don't know who I'm voting for, what's the point of getting myself to the polling station? So we think there are going to be some serious lessons to be learned from this. And we hope the government will pledge never to hold an election of this importance in the winter months again.
Well, I think they're saying, aren't they, that the next time this happens, it's going to be on the same day as kind of local elections, so hopefully that will generate a bigger turnout. There are figures, we've got a YouGov poll in front of me that says only 28% may vote. There are other polls that are suggesting even less. Why aren't people voting? It can't just be because it's winter, can it?
No, I think the lack of information is a very big issue here. You know, what we're hearing from people is saying, look, we don't know what we're voting for and we don't know who we're voting for. So we think that's a big reason for people turning off. I think the government has done too little too late when it's coming to sort of this issue of how you give people the information they need to sort of feel that encouragement to go to the polls.
Katie Ghosh, thank you very much. Chief Executive of the Electoral Reform Society. So there's a different voting system that I have voted in mayoral elections in London, so I kind of understand it. I can get my head around it. It seems to make kind of sense. But it's going to be a low turnout, isn't it? It's tomorrow. It's November 5 plus 10, as one of the candidates famously described it on Roberto's show recently, and it's going to be a low turnout. Are you bothered? Are you going to vote? A lot of you aren't. And it is important, of course it's important who's in charge of the coppers and gets to say what the police do and where they do it and how they do it, but are you going to vote in that? Got a couple of minutes if you want to give us a call. 08459 455 555. I do recommend, if you do want to find out more about the show and the station, go to Facebook, facebook.com/BBC3CR. And basically we kind of post bits and pieces about our show up there, and all the other shows post up bits and pieces. You can go and have a look at a very ungrateful JVS holding what I think are two excellent presents for his birthday. I mean, look at that face. That's actually rude. I'm not even joking now. It's a little bit hurtful. All morning we've been talking about Margaret Moran, who has been found guilty of fraudulently claiming money but won't be sentenced because she is not fit enough to serve any kind of sentence. Akbar is in Luton. Morning, Akbar.
Good morning. My name is Akbar, A-K-B-A-R.
A-K-B-A-R. Akbar.
No, Akbar.
Akbar.
Yes.
There we go. So we got there in the end, sir. Apologies.
Right.
What's your take on this situation with Margaret Moran?
Well, I hold no brief for Margaret Moran, and she did a very foolish thing to use the public funds in illegal manners. But she has been dealt by the process, and in a way she has been quite harshly dealt by the process, because many people are in her position who have stood up and said, we apologize to the British public and what we did, and we will refund the funds.
She's not gone to prison, though, has she, Akbar? Some of the other people have gone to prison.
Yes, she's not going to the prison for the reason that she is not in good health.
And we don't know if she's going to be forced to pay the money back.
Yes.
£53,000 of your money, Akbar.
Yes, that's my money, but at the same time, I'm not willing to support any action which will fork out another £50,000 pounds for legal process to get those £50.
Akbar, she forged documents for building work that she didn't have done from fake building companies for like 20 odd grand, and you paid for it. Are you happy with that?
Yeah, I agree that she did a very silly and foolish thing, and she has been punished for that, and rightly so. But at the same time, now she is not in good health, and she can't stand the trial, and she wouldn't be sentenced. And this idea of pursuing her in civil courts is not a cheap one. It's an expensive idea, and it wouldn't be right thing for us as taxpayers to
You don't want to see more money being spent. Akbar, I've got to move on because we're running out of time. Thank you very much. On the subject of the elections coming up, Mick near Milton Keynes. Morning, Mick.
Good morning.
What's your take on these PCC's elections?
Well, I won't be voting on them.
Why?
I haven't received no information. This booklet that Mr Cameron said we were going to be receiving, we haven't received that. The only thing we've received is polling card. And where I live, I'm not the only one. All the people in this area have not received one.
So you don't think you've got enough information?
I've got no information.
Can you not go online and have a look?
I could do, but if they can't be bothered to send me out any information, why should I go look? Why should I go and cast my vote?
Do you have a computer?
Yeah.
So you could, if you wanted to, if you were really interested in it, you could go and have a look online and find out who's standing and what they stand for.
Yeah.
But you don't feel motivated to do that?
They can't be bothered to put any information out for me.
But it's online, Mick. You could go and have a look on the website.
That doesn't matter. But they want me to cast my vote.
Yeah.
Why should I cast my vote for someone who doesn't want to give me any information about them? What about all the people that around here haven't got computers?
Yeah. Well, but you have got a computer. You could get the information and share it with your neighbours.
Oh, so I'm going to walk the streets around here giving the information?
Well, it'd be a nice civil thing to do, wouldn't it?
I've got better things to do. I go and read in the garden.
Mick, thank you very much indeed. Don't go and read in the garden today, Mick. It's going to be cold. It's going to be blooming cold. It's interesting, isn't it, people's attitudes towards these elections. Mick's, he's not been sent a leaflet, so he's not going to vote. He could look online. He's not going to look online. Well, I've enjoyed today. It's been fun. Lisa Hunter on Twitter. Yeah, I'm going to vote PCC. I usually vote the handsomest. This year I'm totally scuppered. Oh, that's not fair, is it? Thank you for listening. Back tomorrow at 6. Stick around, because Jonathan's show is really going to be something very special. I believe he's going to have some of this.
Orangutan's anus.
Getting beds, hearts and bugs talking.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.